The madness of March continues to roll on, and on the baseball field, Kennesaw State and Western Kentucky are opening up conference play on opening weekend as we look and get ready for game number 2 between the Owls and the Hilltoppers. I'm Bryce Gobert, he's Jordan Griffith. Jordan, yesterday it was a really fun game between these two sides. The Owls were able to stop a red-hot Hilltopper team.
Boy, that was a ton of fun, wasn't it? You look at both sides, and you know what? It's March. We can use the term spurtability. You saw it for both teams. Kennesaw State with 3 runs in the 8th inning to take the win, but also a large chunk of those runs for Western Kentucky scored in the 4th inning as well.
For Kennesaw State, the story of the game was their relief pitcher in Ryan Golden, what he was able to do sitting 12 batters in a row down.
This is the idea that this coaching staff had when Ryan Gold came from UGA. He was able to shove for 5 innings, and my opinion, probably the best relief appearance of any Owl this season. 7 Ks, he had his strikeout stuff. Not a guy that's going to overpower you, but boy, did he pitch a gem last night, Bryce.
3 consecutive 1-2-3 innings, but it was situational hitting for Kennesaw State that really allowed them to prevail to victory.
And you know, we'll talk about the Jackson Chirillo double, but it's that single from Hudson Mims. He has that clutch gene. Bases were loaded. He came in a substitute opportunity in the 5th inning. And then there is Jackson Chirillo lacing one to right center. The Jack is back for Kennesaw State. It is so exciting to have him back and have him producing in the lineup for the Owls.
Situational hitting was massive yesterday for Kennesaw State as they were able to claim their first ever Conference USA win in program history, Jordan, but 2-out hitting was where it was for Kennesaw State. 8 of 16 and with 2 outs.
And I would say that's been one of the aspects for Kennesaw State that's been missing in the games that they have lost versus the games that they have won. It's the 2 outs, the situational hitting. You saw guys get them on, get them over, and they got them in at an incredible clip against a very, very stout pitching staff in WKU.
Kennesaw State was able to pass the bats well. They'll be looking to do it again today as Western Kentucky looks to get back into form. First pitch coming up next here on ESPN+. The Hilltoppers looking for revenge after dropping game number 1 in yesterday's 9-8 loss to the Kennesaw State Owls. And here is how they will wind it out. Starting out with Carlos Vasquez, Ethan Lizama, and Ryan Weidman. And Jordan, Ryan Weidman making his homecoming to Marietta. Didn't have necessarily a great game yesterday, but still a 2 RBI single in what was a big 4th inning for the Hilltoppers.
Oh, you're exactly right. And this is a guy that hometown kid, obviously, as you guys talked about, from Georgia Highlands and went to high school around here as well. A true 5-tool player. You don't see a whole lot of these types of guys around in the NCAA. This is an offense that, you know, they have a bad taste in their mouth from last night. They were able to put a lot of runs up early, but couldn't finish the game out.
For Kennesaw State, it's going to be the redshirt junior and Harry Kane, the Atlanta native, making the start here for the Owls this afternoon, making his 2nd start of the year. Has seen a couple of relief appearances for Kennesaw State so far this season, his last coming at the Citadel and the Owls' 9-4 win on March 15th, where he pitched 3 1/3, giving up 3 hits and striking out 2.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bryce, this is a guy that this coaching staff is very excited about, and you can see why, pumping the old number 1 right down the pipe to start it out. He's finally healthy, finally has his legs underneath him, a healthy arm. This guy that can really get it up there in terms of the radar gun. 90 to 92, loves his fastball. Also has a decent mix, as we've kind of seen a little more this year. Curveball, changeup, but predominantly a fastball guy. He throws over 70%.
As a 1-1 count here so far to the first batter of the day for Western Kentucky and Carlos Vasquez, the redshirt junior. Batting .380 on the year coming into today, making his 21st start of the season. 2-1 pitch is hit down the right field line and curling all the way back towards the foul in the corner. And it will land in that corner in foul territory. A little trouble seeing that baseball down that line, but he had a hit yesterday very similar. Or that was Ethan Lizama that had a hit yesterday very similar. And late in the ball game, that hard hit ball down the right field foul line and just could not keep it fair.
And you know what? S. Walter Keller Senior Memorial Field, I mean, that's a mouthful right there. It has a lot of redeeming qualities. One that it doesn't have is very short foul pole. So if there ever is going to be a close call, it's going to be a tough world to be in if you're an umpire trying to decide that.
Going to be holding your breath if you're the team that is on defense as a high fastball misses up. And we'll have our first full count of the afternoon with Carlos Vasquez and Harry Kane.
But to your point, Bryce, it looks, and the numbers indicate, Vasquez, he likes the ball away, and he will shoot it the other direction. Also has pop, too.
Here's the 3-2. Fouls it away. 30 hits on the season so far for Carlos Vasquez, including 19 RBIs. That has him 4th on this Western Kentucky team. 1 long ball so far, but with that 1 home run, a triple and 10 doubles to his name this season. 3-2 pitch. Gets the strikeout on the bottom of the zone. Vasquez disagrees, but Harry Kane coming out with the heat early on.
Well, he set him up with the heat. He ended it with the heat. Again, 75% of his strikes thrown are that four-seam fastball. Right there, outer corner, that's certainly a close one. But when you have a full count, you've been battling, typically you like to see the bat in motion there.
Bring up Ethan Lozama, getting the start in right field as another fastball and misses on that inside part of the plate. Lozama, the senior, with 4 home runs on this season. A lot of these Western Kentucky hitters batting above 300. He's no different, batting 353.
Well, in the previous batter said Vasquez was 4th on the team in RBIs with 19.
Yeah.
That tells you exactly what this team is. I mean, they have absolutely mashed this year.
Lozama himself 2nd on this Hilltoppers team with 23 RBIs as he'll pop one up shallow on the infield. Hudson Mims and Shamar McDuffie. It looks like it'll be McDuffie as he backs up into the infield to record the 2nd out of the inning on a pop fly. And exactly the start that Harry Kane would have wanted. Just 10 pitches in, already recorded 2 outs.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think the efficiency for Kennesaw State is where they have gotten better throughout the year when it comes to their pitchers. Harry Kane, not predominantly your starter, didn't have their idea of him as a starter coming in. But a couple guys go down, and hey, all of a sudden, you flash in the bullpen, and now he's doing it so far in the 1st inning.
We'll bring up Ethan Weidman, and he'll take a deep shot to left center field. Turning around is going to be Nate Anderson, but it ain't going to matter as Ryan Weidman with a moonshot to give Western Kentucky a 1-0 lead. We knew that it was not going to be long before we saw that ball-to-bat connection with him.
Goodness gracious. Sometimes you look at the stats and you say, well, is this guy really that great? He's that great. This guy is not going to cool down anytime soon. It takes a major pop to leave the park like that. I mean, that's a no-doubter. Took his time with it. I don't blame him. Right off the barrel. And you know what? That's a challenge pitch. He took him up and in, and that's where Weidman was looking, and he took that one out of the yard.
Wasted no time ambushing Kane in the first pitch of the at-bat for his 6th long ball of the year and team-leading 32nd RBI of the season to give Western Kentucky a early 1-0 lead. And just as we were saying this was the start that Harry Kane wanted, Ryan Weidman comes in and disrupts all of that as Thomas Marsala is going to roll over it, and that will end the inning, but not before Western Kentucky's Ryan Weidman in his homecoming series down in Marietta gets the scoring started. As we get to take another look at this absolute moonshot as we step aside and we head to the bottom half of the 1st with Western Kentucky on top by 1. Here's how Kennesaw State is going to face off against Western Kentucky here today. Only one change in the lineup. Hudson Mims getting the start over Cooper Williams, who picked up a knock in yesterday's game. But Jordan Wesley Alec with a monster home run in that game yesterday. And really, this Owls team was getting hits from all over the lineup.
There's a perfect balance, in my opinion, Bryce, of this veteran and freshman presence. And you have some of these stars like Wesley Alec. He's been a stellar player this year. Has had to really play a bigger role maybe they anticipate on the defensive side. But with the bat, he has been electric when they need him the most. 3 home runs, all in critical situations.
On the other side for Western Kentucky, on the bump, it is going to be the right-handed sophomore, Drew Whalen, getting the start on the bump. Talking with the Western Kentucky pitching staff earlier this week, Jordan, they're saying that this is a guy that pitches a lot bigger than what he actually is.
Well, look at that K to walk ratio. That is something you don't see. 35-3. This guy pounds the zone. He attacks you like nobody you'll see probably this year, at least in the conference series the rest of the way. And there's, of course, a first strike right there. He gets up to 91 for his fastball, but a little more balanced than Kane on the other side. He's got about a 5 or 6 pitch mix. Likes the slider, changeup, curveball, cutter.
It'll be Nate Anderson to start it off here for Kennesaw State in the top of the bottom of the first, fouling off the first pitch. But Jordan, you mentioned that strikeout to walk ratio as that one misses down in the dirt. 13th in the NCAA, leads Conference USA with an 11.67 strikeout to walk ratio. So for every 11 strikeouts, almost 12 strikeouts, there's one walk in there at some points. Pretty impressive numbers.
And no offense to Jack Bennett. Jack Bennett's a phenomenal pitcher. But I think when you turn on the tape, sure, the numbers have supported his season because, I mean, 0 ERA going into last night's game. But Whalen was, I think, the guy that really jumped off the screen to you when you roll the film back. He does have some blow-it-past-you stuff, and he also can get those RPMs up there with the best of them as well. Good swing and miss, and a guy that obviously can find the strike zone.
Has a 2-2 count here with Nate Anderson. That pitch is going to miss in the dirt. So just like how it started off for Western Kentucky in the top half of the inning, a full count pitch for the first batter of the ball game for Kennesaw State in Nate Anderson. Here's the pitch. Chopper back towards Whalen. He'll scoop it up, underhand toss to first to record the first out of the inning.
That's big for them because I don't think anyone in the country has had more swinging bunt singles this year than Nate Anderson.
We'll bring up Chris Cole. Great day yesterday for Chris Cole. The first 4 times he came up to the plate was able to reach base. With 2 singles, a double, got hit by a pitch, and then wrapped up his day with a strikeout. He and Donovan Cash were a 1-2 punch that the Owls were relying on and really came in clutch to capture that 9-8 victory in yesterday's matchup.
Yeah, and you know, somewhere along in the road trip, they made this lineup change to move Chris Cole from the leadoff spot to number 2, and he hasn't skipped a beat. This is a guy that I like to use the word prolific when it comes to Chris Cole because he can really be a game changer in all 3 facets. His pop isn't leave the yard, but he finds the gaps. Obviously can hit the triple as well. He's leading the team in triples with 2 this year, and obviously incredible in center field as well.
Went around on that breaking ball in the dirt. This will be his 8th start this season in this 2-hole spot for Kennesaw State. And like you said, has really just found a home in that spot.
It's worked. Nate Anderson's also done a really good job in the leadoff spot. They have 2 guys that can really do it all, and you get back-to-back lefties to start off. That's a big advantage when you're predominantly facing right-handers throughout the conference season.
Count back evened up at 2-2. Pitch on the way. And that one's popped up, drifting towards the left field corner. And Dylan O'Connell will get under it to make the grab for out number 2. Brings up Donovan Cash, who is nearing Kennesaw State history in a couple of different categories. As he will look to try and continue the inning here for Kennesaw State. Drew Whalen with 2 quick outs and just 11 pitches, but this is a guy like Ryan Weidman who has that power to hit the long ball.
You're exactly right, and I think what's been the biggest difference for Cash this year is he's taken a step in his maturity. I think he really has taken the reins of this team in the role that he's needed to. This is a guy that was in the Hattiesburg Regional. He's seen the success at the highest level for Kennesaw State baseball, and I think he's really settled into that role this year and finally settled into a defensive role or the DH role, whatever's asked of him.
Started out 3 for 3 yesterday, just like Chris Cole with 2 singles and then an RBI double in the 4th inning. That gave Kennesaw State their 4th run of the day as he looks in a strike. Ended the day with 2 strikeouts, but really looks solid in the first half of that ball game and hitting off of Jack Bennett. 2-2 pitch. Is hit sharply towards third. And the throw is off the bag. Cash is going to be safe. Nice hustle there by Donovan Cash as the throw from Carlos Vasquez to Kyle Vitston was off the first base bag and a little bit down the line towards home plate, and allows the inning to extend here for KSU.
Yeah, sometimes you get the ball and you just think too much about it, or maybe not thinking enough about it. Got his head up at the last second right before he delivered that sidearm delivery and missed it arm side as well.
Go down as an E5, brings up Cam Sudo. That one in the dirt, not going to be able to advance Donovan Cash. Sudo, the senior, batting .277 on this season for Kennesaw State. And another guy that the Owls have really looked towards this season to try and have a big year.
Yeah, he's fit into the team really well so far this year. You want to talk about bat speed? Cam Sudo's got it.
Whiffs on the breaking ball down in the zone, brings the count to 1-1. As the senior awaits the pitch. Breaking ball misses away. Was a Lee University transfer in 2024, hit .393 with 20 home runs, as well as 62 RBIs and 50 games played for Lee University. 2-1 pitch, misses outside.
Yeah, at 40 in his tenure with the Flames, and I know the Flames are awful well up in Cleveland. It's not as long of a drive as it seems, but when you do it repeatedly to go watch Lee University games like I have in the past, it kind of wears on you a little bit. So I think he wanted to be back home, Sprayberry product, and he takes the walk. That bat flip was a little high. I think he had to apologize for that one on the back end.
Didn't really mean to do a whole big bat flip there for that walk. But the Owls doing what they were able to do yesterday, and I mean, that you wouldn't think that ball was hit 450 dead center with that kind of bat flip.
Yeah, definitely an accident, and it's easy to do it when you use. I don't know. There's something
just
about the weight of the bat,
yeah.
And yeah, I can definitely see how
the barrel's a little bit heavier than the handle, so just the toss.
Yeah.
I'm sure we can get into it.
Inertia, I'm sure, has something to do with it.
Bill Nye the Science Guy taught me something. Jackson Cirillo with a 1-0 count early on, the junior from Woodstock. Had the game-winning RBI double, and last night's game in the Owls' 3-run 8th inning that allowed them to prevail over Western Kentucky. But again, Kennesaw State early on in this ball game with 2 outs has been able to find a way to put 2 runners on base and extend this inning. And Cirillo nearly gets hit down by his feet, but will just go down as the ball moves the count to 2-1. 8 of 16 yesterday with 2 outs hitting for Kennesaw State. And that is going to be a recipe for success 9 out of 10 times. 2-1 pitch. Elected not to go, but strike on the inside.
Now, can you hit with 2 outs while being gifted an error that extended the inning? Can you take advantage of the miscues of the other team? That's what separates good and great teams. Kennesaw State, obviously a good team. You know, we'll see if they can do it here. 2-2
pitch. Breaking ball just misses on the outside corner, and it brings it full. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1-0 Western Kentucky lead with 2 outs in the bottom of the first. Big moment early on in this ball game. Owls with Wes Allig on deck trying to get the bases loaded. Here's the pitch, runners go, and it's popped up into center field. Weidman going to take a couple steps forward and hesitates a little bit before making the grab to end the inning. So Kennesaw State threatens trying to respond to the 1-run Western Kentucky put across the plate earlier in the top half of the inning. We'll head to the second with our score still the same, 1-0 WKU. Western Kentucky team was one of the hottest teams coming into this weekend, batting .339 across the season, which led Conference USA, and yesterday's game number 1 hit well below that average at .257.
Yeah, you know what? And I don't blame the Western Kentucky bats for going quiet. I think they ran into a buzzsaw on Ryan Gold that had something to prove in that relief appearance yesterday. They needed to get a few long relief innings out of him to try and save arms for the rest of the series, and Gold did exactly that. like I said in the open, Bryce, exactly what they had imagined when they brought him in. So, yeah, they definitely did not I wouldn't say they even didn't do that. They still scored 8 runs, and I'm thinking about it. That's still pretty darn good, and that's going to win you a lot of games. But, again, they went quiet for a decent stretch there at the end.
6 runs came across the plate for Western Kentucky in the 4th inning of yesterday's game.
Oof.
But from the 5th inning on, 5th to 9th inning, they had 16 batters come up to the plate, 15 of which were retired by Ryan Gold. The only one that was not was a pinch hit home run by Drew Berrigan in the bottom, or rather top of the 9th inning.
And you know what, that Berrigan home run was really impressive because that was a good pitch for Ryan Gold.
Harry Kane's 2-0 pitch finds the zone, 2-1.
But again, the word that comes to mind when referring to this Hilltopper team is that spurt ability. They can put that many runs up on anybody. You can roll your best pitcher out there. It doesn't matter. You can roll your worst pitcher out there. These guys are going to hit the baseball. That's just what a talented lineup and a talented offense does.
We touched on it yesterday. They've only played 2 games this season entering yesterday, at which they were considered one-run games. They won one early on in the 2nd game of the season versus Illinois State in 11 innings, and then lost versus Murray State in a final in 12 innings. And then yesterday's loss to Kennesaw State was their 3rd, so they are now 1-2 in one-run games. But other than that, they have been very impressive in winning by a lot of large margins. 3-2 pitch. This is high, and it'll be a walk to start off the inning here for Kyle Vidston. And Dylan O'Connell will try and come up now with a runner on first.
Well, to your point, Bryce, 4 run rule victories. 4? Most teams don't get 4 in a season.
Yep.
They had 4 in non-conference play. Yep. Incredibly impressive what they've been able to do, and it shows on all of the NCAA stats. I mean, there is not a single category they are not elite in right now.
15 victories by 4 or more runs this season for this Western Kentucky team. As the first pitch to Dylan O'Connell is a heater down low in the zone for strike number 1. But like you said, Jordan, with 4 run rule victories in non-conference play alone, plus 15 victories by 4 or more runs, that's going to be a recipe for success. And talking with Coach Reardon yesterday, he said there is some criticism from the national media saying that we may not have the toughest schedule in the nation, but just for budgetary reasons, that's how it's worked out for us, and it is going to build confidence in your guys either way.
Listen, Bryce, you could pull a lot of coaches. I don't think there's going to be a single coach that finds playing at home a negative.
Yeah.
They were able to play a lot at home in their non-conference season, and I implore everybody to be able to try and do that. But some teams have to go on the road. Kennesaw State, obviously, with a big road stretch this year.
Popped out into center field for Drew O'Connell. Chris Cole will get under it to make the grab to record the first out.
But to finish my thought on that, you end, 20-1 in your non-conference slate? I don't care who you play. That's impressive.
That is very impressive.
That's incredibly impressive. And it's not like they played a bunch of slouches either. There are good teams in there. Sure, there are some teams that have been down on their luck this year, but you never know when you schedule them what you're going to get when the season actually arrives.
California native Drew Berrigan up to the plate, but after that throw back to first, we saw this a couple of times last night. This Western Kentucky team very active on the base pass, so a lot of throw-over is going to be expected today based on what we saw last night. But when you have a team that starts out 18-0 at home, as a fly ball is going to be hit to left field, Nate Anderson will make the grab for the second out. When you start off 18-0 at home, 20-1 overall, you're going to have not only confidence, but you're playing now a Kennesaw State team in opening series. You're going to come into this series with a lot of confidence, with the Owls returning from 14 straight games on the road.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, stark contrast when it comes to the schedules of where you're playing and when, but Kennesaw State, I would say, probably has had the tougher schedule so far. But once again, I think too much is put into that. That's just a personal opinion of mine.
Ball's going to get away, and Vidston's going to advance to second on the pass ball.
You look at the RPI, it's kind of reflected positives for both. 45th for Western Kentucky, obviously being top 50 is incredible. And for Kennesaw State to have the record they had coming in, 106.
Hard hit fly ball to right center field. Going back is going to be Cole on the warning track. Makes a nice running grab to end the inning as Berrigan's hit just continued to drift away. And the Owls will head back up to the plate, trailing by 1 down in Marietta. Yesterday's game for Wes Alec will be one that he will remember for a long time. A monster home run in the 5th inning that helped Kennesaw State's comeback kind of get started. A big hit for him, a RB solo shot that, again, Kennesaw State is just looking on him to try and just kind of find some momentum in the middle of this order.
Well, he's been a flat-out stud, and you can see all the other studs that they've been able to bring in this year. Their freshman class, #1 in Conference USA, and for a team that's in their first year in Conference USA, that makes it twice as impressive, in my opinion. But going back to Alex specifically, when I first saw him personally back in the fall, this was a guy that looked like a freshman. Now here in the spring, he's put on more weight. He's got a ton of muscle that might not look like it coming across the screen, but this is a guy that has a lot of pop just like that.
Hefty hit ball, but Dylan O'Connell will be able to make the grab. Sharply hit there from Alec. But you'll take that. I mean, that may be a fly out down in the books, but a well-hit ball there by Wes.
I mean, it does sting that you had an atom ball, but at the same time, you had an atom ball. You want to be able to say, hey, you put a good barrel on something. It's all about the process. It's a long season. Those will eventually fall, and they have.
You got a good guy behind Wes Alec and Hudson Mims, replacing Cooper Williams, who picked up an injury in yesterday's game and will not be playing in this one today. Mims, his first hit of the season yesterday, came at what couldn't have been a better time with 2 outs in the 8th inning. Had a single that allowed him to get on base and set up Cam Sudo, who was going to be able to draw a walk and then eventually would be able to come home and score in that 8th inning of part of the Owls' 3-run 8th inning that helped give them that 9-8 victory yesterday. Heading the count here 2-1. But for a guy that this will be his 4th game of the season,
yeah,
only a couple of at-bats, got his first hit yesterday. Told this to Trey, this is a guy that you want on your team, a guy that doesn't play a lot, but when he does play, he's going to come in and he's going to make an impact.
They call him super utility guys. I call him a gamer.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to describe what Hudson Mims has meant to not just this team, he punches out right there, but to Kennesaw State baseball throughout his tenure here.
So he'll punch out on the strikeout swing. We'll bring up Aaron Posey in the 8-hole. Something that Western Kentucky was not able to do yesterday against this Kennesaw State team was to have a clean inning of 1, 2, 3. This will be the first time now in what will be 11 innings that Western Kentucky is trying to go 1, 2, 3 in an inning and try and just get out and get right back up to the plate.
I'll tell you what, Wayland looks really good right now. Had the walk in the first, which I think we forgot to mention. That's insane. His 4th walk of this season. Doesn't do a whole lot of that. But here he goes. I mean, he's just painted both of those pitches to start off in the curveball right there on the outer edge.
Posey going to have to protect. 0-2 pitch. Swing and miss. Wayland fired up as he fires the heater right past him. And will walk off the mound with some style, heading to the top of the 3rd, with Western Kentucky still leading 1-0 after this strikeout from Drew Wayland. And what has been an impressive start to his tenure at Western Kentucky, Mark Raridan continuing to build on his wonderful resume that he already has as a head coach.
I think you used a great key word there, Bryson. That is build. He mentioned to us in speaking with him, and by the way, a delightful coach to talk to as well. Just a side note there, but he said, listen, we're not maybe a Dallas Baptist quite yet, but we're getting there, and they are pretty darn close. You look at the talent that they've been able to garner. It's no secret, it's no surprise, I should say, that the success that he had at the community college level, Iowa Western, has translated over to Division I NCAA baseball. He's a fantastic coach, and coaches, they can coach anywhere.
Finished 15-9 in Conference USA last year. as that's popped high up into the air by the 9-hole hitter in Anthony Westbrook. And the first pitch he sees is going to be a fly out to Chris Cole. But in 2024, made consecutive seasons for this Western Kentucky team of reaching the Conference USA Championship. 4th overall for the Hilltoppers since 2015. But when you have a combination of not one, but 2 coaches on a roster that as head coaches have 1,000+ wins, that's going to be a recipe for success.
Oh, you're exactly right. And how many staffs, how many teams out there can say that? I think probably 0. To be able to have 2 head coaches on the same team, and also to not have those 2 worlds collide, that's also a different thing. Having 2 head coaches sounds great, but sometimes there could be egos involved. That is not the case whatsoever with Western Kentucky. The Hilltoppers have a experienced and a incredible coaching staff all the way around. And you can go back to instant success. Coach Koh can tell you all about that. Won a championship in his first year as well. So, again, coaches can coach anywhere.
23 seasons as a collegiate head coach in college baseball. That one drifting in foul territory and sliding into that fence right at the Western Kentucky bullpen is Jackson Chirillo. Good to see him back up and okay. 23 seasons, Jordan. How many losing seasons does he have?
1.
0.
0.
Not one losing season for Mark Raridan in his 23 years as a head coach. That includes a 62-6 season at the community college level in 2012. That's going to be successful no matter what.
I mean, yeah, everything you need to know about Coach Reardon is exactly in those stats right there. I've actually physically been to Iowa Western. They were a team that played against my junior college back when I was in college. I mean, way back when the earth was just cooling. But being able to do that at the JUCO level, I think, is even more impressive in my opinion, because I know it firsthand. It's such a different world. It is just such a different world in Division I. I think now you're looking at the NCAA Division I league very similarly as the JUCO, because you only get guys 1 or 2 years, and that's what he was kind of talking about with us and how that's kind of translated. And now the mindset that he's had to coach in a vacuum. You know, you got to ramp guys up a lot faster, progress them a lot faster, because you only have them for 1, maybe 2 years.
In his 20 seasons at Iowa Western as a head coach there, as the 2-2 pitch is fouled off, no other team over the past 20 years at the Division I junior college baseball program level has won more games or most postseason games or postseason championships than Iowa Western. I mean, it was continual success for 20 straight seasons.
The Reavers.
Yeah.
The Reavers, baby.
2-2 pitch here to the 1-hole hitter in Carlos Vasquez. And that one's going to be fouled away. A good at-bat again between these two.
And again, I'll comment on why I think that it is so much more impressive as well, is because it's so easy in junior college to capture lightning in a bottle for 1 year, and then the next year have a completely new team, because that's the nature of it. Guys are only there for a maximum of 2 years. If you really have a guy that really impresses, they're only going to be there for 1 year. He's able to do it year in and year out, practically, Bryce, resetting every single season. There's almost no words really for it. I admire him for being able to do and have all that success. And also at junior college, you're getting guys to the high level. No offense to junior colleges, I was in it as well. It's a stepping stone for guys. That guy really wanted that baseball, by the way. But
He got it.
There you go. Hey, get the reward. But it's a stepping stone. They're looking to get that big Division I college, and that's just a way for them to do that.
2-2 pitch after a good at-bat and a good battle. Carlos Vasquez is going to be the one who comes out on top and gets the single in what was the 11th pitch of the at-bat.
I'll tell you what, Vasquez pretty much allowed a 10-minute story for us, because that's how long his battle was. Took it to a full count, was just spraying the ball away. Once again, there's that ball away that he takes to the right side of the field. That's a tendency for him, and he's awful good at it.
We'll bring up Ethan Lozano, who had to pop out to Shamar McDuffie in his first at-bat in the first inning. But when building this Western Kentucky team, as we look back, kind of back towards this team, as the fly ball is hit to left field. This time, it'll be Nate Anderson making the grab. But that was kind of the recipe for building this Western Kentucky team, was kind of looking at that junior college level and saying, all right, these are the guys that we want. Let's go get them. They brought in 33 to 34 new guys after their first season, after Mark Reardon's first season as a head coach, completely flipped over the roster. And again, like at the junior college level, saw success right away.
Well, junior college guys want to be coached by junior college coaches when they get to the next level because they have that sort of relatability. They know what they're going to get from each other and what's expected from each other. It's awful impressive how he's been able to get so much out of his players in such a quick span of time that most coaches, it can take 3 or 4 years for them to fully develop a team that represents their coach.
Told us earlier this week that Coach Fournier has been kind of a big piece with that team and that whole recruiting side of things, of trying to build up this roster. Said that he's the guy that can really get the kids on his team to hear our vision for them, and seeing that really with Ryan Weidman and the success that he's having, said that Weidman is specifically getting stronger week by week. And as that continues, I mean, you're just seeing the benefits for this Western Kentucky team week by week. They're getting better. 1-1 pitch is going to be a throwback over to first. Very keen eye on Carlos Vasquez on that first base bag. Vasquez 6 for 7 on stolen base attempts this year. Weidman at the plate with the solo home run and another throwback to first. That's not going to be any time.
And to your point, Bryce, I think maybe the most impressive part about this is the balance of which their lineup mashes and their pitching staff, they shove. So, and you kind of get it from both ends. One of the best teams in the country statistically in both of those categories. So it's not as though he went and found arms only, or that he found just the bats. He's been able to do it all.
I think if you're playing a NCAA baseball video game, this is exactly the kind of program that you're trying to build whenever you're recruiting and trying to find those hidden gems in the transfer portal or in the community college level. And Mark Reardon has done just that with the team that he has built here at Western Kentucky this season. With Weidman in a 3-1 count. Fastball going to be fouled away. We'll run it full. Weidman, the home run in the first inning, the only run of this game so far, was 1 for 4 yesterday with a 2 RBI single in the fourth, part of Western Kentucky's 6-run fourth inning. Walked in his first at bat and got 2 stolen bases as well, but it's going to be Harry Kane losing his hat but getting the strikeout to end the inning, and exactly what he would have wanted after giving up that single to Carlos Vasquez. Harry Kane pumping some heat by Ryan Weidman as the Owls trying to tie this one up. They trail it 1-0. (9-1-2) due up here for Kennesaw State, but Shamar McDuffie has been an everyday guy for Kennesaw State this season, one of 2 players for KSU to start every game in one position.
Well, I think if you want to hand-pick 2 positions of which you have everyday guys, you have your workhorses, I think you'd pick first shortstop, and I think you'd pick center field. And look at that for Kennesaw State. Shamar McDuffie, who has been nothing short of a magician at shortstop in his 2 years, and then Chris Cole, who can track down just about every baseball hit his way. This is a pitcher's dream. And then you also see Hudson Mims get his first start today. This defense struggled early in the season. There's no 2 bones about that. They have improved drastically since the road trip, and this is a team that I think is really starting to pitch their defense. I mean, look at Kane, typically a strikeout pitcher, and he's really letting his fielders do the work for him.
You may say that, oh, you got pitchers and you got batters, and everyone can only do so much. But it really is a team game when it comes to that aspect. When you have a pitcher, like you said, Harry Kane can be a strikeout guy, but is relying and trust his infield, and that's something that it's going to come with time. Whenever you struggle early on in the year, you're going to have your doubts of, well, we struggled at the beginning of the year. Can I trust my guys? I don't think that trust inside the locker room is ever going to go.
I agree with you. And what also helps is that the guys have definitely picked up their play in the field. He can trust them a little bit more because that ball's getting over to first base a lot more often than it used to. And I think now you've seen guys. That's a beautiful pitch. Whalen is just dicing right now. But you also have been able to see some guys settle into their positions. Some injuries kind of made that a little murky early in the year. But I think now the Owls will really start to kind of find their own on that side.
Third consecutive strikeout for Drew Whalen as we head back to the top of the Kennesaw State order with Nate Anderson, who grounded out to Whalen and his first at-bat. Kennesaw State, again, coming off of 14 straight road games, their first ever Conference USA series, technically not being played at home, as this one from Anderson is going to be hit sharply out to right field, but directly at the charging Ethan Lozama to record the second out. New home for Kennesaw State, Mickey Dunn Stadium, still under renovation as that's going to be complete and gets ready to be the Owls' home for next year and moving forward. Lying down there in Marietta, was it a beautiful baseball stadium that, you know, for Kennesaw State, it works out in having a second campus that has a baseball field. And it's kind of just been the way it is, and the Owls have enjoyed it.
I mean, how many schools really can say that they have a second baseball field that's play ready? Maybe it wasn't not too long ago, but Kennesaw State, the university side as well, not just athletics, they did a great job in firing this thing up. I mean, it looks great. The field is in great condition. You can see people on the hill. It's a brand new experience to Kennesaw State fans and to visiting fans as well. It's been a joy, honestly, to be down there and kind of just see a baseball game played there. It has the history dating all the way back to 1950. It has that richness that you're looking for in a baseball park, and Kennesaw State has the opportunity to play there for one season.
Chris Cole watches that one miss on the outside for the first strike of the at-bat. But it's a lot different. It plays a lot different. We were talking about it last night, and one of the major differences, 3-1 pitch, is a bunt that's going to roll foul. One of the major differences is the backstop and behind home plate at Stillwell Stadium and what's going to be Mickey Dunn Stadium. It's a much smaller backstop, not as much room for pass balls to really get away from catchers, and not as much room for runners to have that time to make up, all right, am I going to go or am I going to stay here? With this bigger backstop, 3-2 pitch, misses outside. It'll be a walk for Chris Cole. Only the 5th walk of the season, second one of the day for Drew Whalen. But if you have this massive backstop, it changes the way you pitch as well, because now if you're going to be throwing as your out pitch, breaking ball in the dirt, you got to make sure your catcher gets in front of it.
If that gets past you, that's a run, or that's a runner advance, runner gets to first, what have you. As you mentioned, there's a lot of foul territory back there. It can be a catcher's dream at some point because you do get some unexpected outs that you're able to, they stay in fair play, you can get. But other than that, it does cause a little worry in the gut of, I know a lot of catchers that are able to play there. But and you also mentioned the outfield. There's a jet stream to left and right, in my opinion, at Walter Kelly, where you look at what was Stillwell Stadium, now will be Mickey Dunn. Still, that stretch stream will carry out to right field predominantly. So there's a lot of aerodynamics. There's what kind of grass are we playing on? Is the field different? Is the play different?
Runner goes, throw's going to be into the outfield, and that's going to allow Chris Cole to advance all the way to third. So what was just going to be a simple stolen base still is for Cole. Is now going to get him all the way to third and 90 feet away with 2 outs from tying this game at 1.
That's what speed do. And Chris Cole is a problem on the base pass. I said prolific. He's wreaking havoc on every defense and every catcher that has to try and throw him out, because your throw has to be picture perfect or else you're not going to get him. That's how fast Chris Cole is, and that causes an issue.
Cash slips getting out of the box, so it's going to be an easy throw to first to end the inning. So Kennesaw State going to threaten but cannot find the answer just quite yet. Headed to the 4th, Owls and Hilltopper. Kennesaw State looking to be complete here in the next couple of months, ready to play for next season and beyond. Mickey Dunn Stadium, the new home of Kennesaw State baseball. Now the ability to host some postseason baseball if the Owls are to make it there. You see a little bit of a different experience with those seats down in right field, right across the street from the Waffle House, so that's not going anywhere, luckily. Still have that to look forward to after some of these games, but a beautiful stadium that is being built as you get to take a look at Walter Kelly Memorial Field. And Jordan, I know that these players are excited to get in that new stadium.
I am too.
Yeah.
It's not just them.
Broadcasters alike.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that can't wait to get their hands on that stadium. Again, it's just all the memories that those grounds have brought to me and brought to all these players, these coaches, and what it means to the fans as well. It was obviously much needed for this program that has rewarded Kennesaw State for all the success that they've been able to have. It is just such a big plus to the university and to Kennesaw State athletics as a whole. Cannot wait until that thing is up and running.
Going to be a lot to look forward to. Increased seating capacity. We'll be able to seat up to 1,500 fans as the Owls continue to make new strides as a university, as an athletic department, making the move into Conference USA and trying to just get ready as, you know, programs start to build and see more success, trying to take that step to the next level.
Well, I think also something that's underrated is ability to host a regional.
Yeah.
That is betting on yourself if you're Kennesaw State. You want to be able to host the biggest games that there are.
Nice play there from McDuffie to get the quick throw on over to Sudo to retire the batter and Thomas Marsala. Kyle Vidston will come up to bat, but like you said, that ability to host a super regional, it's kind of a self-gloat, you could say, you know, saying we're confident enough that at some point within the next couple of years, we're going to be at a level ready to host.
You're exactly right. Not only is this a program that has shown the ability to get to the regionals, now you have a facility that can back that up. And there is no better home field advantage in a regional than being able to play in front of your home fans. It's an electric atmosphere no matter where you go. And I know Kennesaw State fans would show out when that day comes, because it will.
That's one of the best parts about getting to watch the postseason college baseball is all the different environments that these host sites are able to bring. And it really does make the game so much fun to watch. What a catch there by Hudson Mims. His first start at third base this season and is flashing the leather like it's nobody's business.
Did I mention number 8 is a gamer? That is a pot shot right to him. Absolute frozen rope. Great job by Hudson Mims. Third base has somewhat been a struggle for Kennesaw State this year when it comes to the field. That is not a struggle right now with Hudson Mims. Great to see that did not affect him too much. Unfazed for this kid.
Wes Allig, Cooper Williams, Donovan Cash have all seen the hot corner this season. Hudson Mims, the 4th member of this Owls team to do so, and is making a quick impact already, saving what would have for sure been an extra base hit down the line. And now Harry Kane with that ahead in the count, 0-2.
Can I also mention both pitchers have been splendid so far. I mean, we've been able to tell some great stories because there's not a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the bats so far.
It's been a pitcher's duel, and it's continuing here. Harry Kane gets strikeout number 3 as we head to the home half of the 4th. Kennesaw State and Western Kentucky in a battle down in Marietta, with the Hilltoppers still on top by 1. Talked about the Owls kind of self-promoting themselves with this new stadium last inning, with what they're going to do and the ability to host a super regional. Here's why this team is wanting to make those upgrades. Ryan Coe's first season as a head coach, ASUN champions. The next year didn't really go his way, but in the Owls' final year in the ASUN really got things back on the right track, and are so far starting off Conference USA play in a great spot too.
3 years on the books. 1 conference tournament championship in his first year, and then a runner-up in year number 3. The second year, there was a lot of fallout in terms of what you lost from year 1 and trying to flip things around. I still think a great job was done in all 3 seasons. And you mentioned instant success on Western Kentucky's side. Well, Ryan Coe did exactly that. It is it's so easy to look at that and be like, okay, well, you know, you get the transfer portal, you get more talented guys, it's a lot easier. Nothing's that easy. And for Ryan Coe to come in and do that to a already successful Kennesaw State program, but take them to another level, which they're at right now in Conference USA, there's not a whole lot more that can be said for that. Coach Coe has been, I mean, nothing short of phenomenal in his tenure.
Not here this weekend. Matt Passor stepping in as the acting head coach for Kennesaw State for this 3-game series versus the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Sudo's 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed. Great strikeout there from Whalen, who has been lights out so far, has issued 2 walks in the game for the first time this season, but has struck out 4 batters in the last 2 1/3.
Well, that's kind of been his approach so far, Bryce, is he's hitting you early with the speed and then obviously dropping it off the table. That's your traditional approach, but he's been doing it so well, and he does it away to these right-handed hitters, and that's where he's gotten a lot of his swing and miss stuff. There he goes, pulls the string, pitching to Jackson Chirillo backwards because everyone else has been getting that first pitch heater.
Chirillo will fly out in his first at-bat. But when you have that ability to be a guy who has such effective off-speed stuff, and as that one rolled back into foul territory, unfortunate for Jackson Chirillo and Kennesaw State. But when you have the heat and then you have the ability to pull the string, like you mentioned, on an off-speed pitch, on a curveball, on a slider, on whatsoever, you see this ball just never rolled foul, thought it was going to, but ended up staying in fair territory. That's going to be a recipe for success for your season as a pitcher.
Well, Bryce, I think what stands out to me about Whalen and why he's been so successful, by the way, what a future this kid has just in his second season, all freshman Conference USA team last season, is that he throws everything for a strike. So 37% of the time he's going to throw that fastball. Well, everything else is almost at the same exact level. He's got that slider, changeup, curveball, and the cutter. The curveball has really been working so far today. It's the balance, because you are not able to get into that box and decisively say, okay, this guy's going to throw me a first pitch fastball. He's going to throw me this, that, and the other. Your 2-strike approach changes. Everything changes because you cannot dig in and keyhole anything.
We've seen the strikeouts today for Kennesaw State on the fastball, on the off-speed pitch. Like you said, it's been everything, and he's been able to work the zone very well. Falls behind in the count here to Wes Alec 3-0, but has been able to work the count very well, where if he's trailing, he can get back on track with a fastball and able to get back with a challenge pitch, just like right there. So we'll see what he comes with. Maybe an off-speed pitch on the inside that's going to try and tie up a Kennesaw State batter. We'll see what Alec's sitting on here if he elects to swing. 3-1 pitch. He does, and rolls over it, chops to third. Long throw across. Alec makes it close, but it's going to be unable to beat it out. And another quick inning here for Western Kentucky. Their first 1-2-3 inning of the weekend, as they still lead by 1 headed to the 5th. Kennesaw State and Matt Passor, again, the acting head coach this weekend. Ryan Coe not with the team, but has done a great job in his coaching career. The 2017 Conference Coach of the Year, a head coach at East Georgia from 2014 to 2017. You can see why Ryan Coe chose this guy to be his right hand man.
Coach Passor, once again, a joy to be around as well, but you want to talk about a guy that commands the best from his pitchers. I've seen him every once in a while in their pitchers meetings. This is a guy that demands excellence, and he's gotten a lot from Kennesaw State pitchers. A lot to work with this year, a lot of obstacles that they've had to overcome as well. I think he's been able to navigate those incredibly well this year. And also something about him, he loves to shout out all the other people. I was talking to him yesterday, and he said, hey, let's talk about Brad a little bit. Brad, all the things that he's had to do and that he's been able to do for Kennesaw State. Talks about the staff, the managers as well, everybody around the team. He's a guy that is humble. He's not going to take all of the glory, but this is a guy that deserves a little bit of glory at the same time. It's an incredible staff that Kennesaw State's put together, and the pitching staff is no different.
Both of these teams this weekend have put together some incredible coaching staffs. Obviously, we talked about the Western Kentucky side with 2 head coaches on their staff with over 1,000 wins each, so 2,000 career wins as a head coach combined on the Western Kentucky side. And then you have the pure experience of the coaching staff on the Kennesaw State side, with 2 former recruiters in Passor and Ryan Coe himself in the big leagues. They know what to look for, and they know exactly what they want, and they want specific stuff.
My favorite part about what you were saying is you listed just about every league, every level of baseball that there is. These guys have coached it. I mean, you go to junior college, the major leagues, lower Division I, NAIA. There has not been a step that has been skipped from any of these coaching staffs. And when you're able to blend all of that together, that creates something special. And I think both these teams have something special going.
Drew Berrigan with an 0-2 count. Harry Kane on the pitch. Chopper and roller over towards McDuffie. He'll make the long throw across the diamond. Cam Shudo for the first out of the inning. Goes back to it as Harry Kane, with 3 strikeouts on the day, again has relied on that infield a couple times today to get a couple of crucial outs, but really has gotten a couple pop-ups as well. The outfield has been busy, and for Kennesaw State, you're going to be okay with that. Right now, sitting at a pretty decent pitch count, 58 pitches with 1 away here in the 5th. Talked about wanting to kind of save those bullpen arms after a long road trip for Kennesaw State, as that bunt is placed down right back to Harry Kane, not where Reed Howard would have wanted to place that bunt if he got another go at it, as that's the 2nd out of the inning.
I mean, dude, all these hitters today for both sides, they got dinner plans or something?
I guess so. They're trying to get out of here.
A lot of early in the count swings. You saw the bunt right there, trying to surprise the infield. I get it. Trying to break the monotony of what's going on right now. Harry Kane has been phenomenal. Waylon has been phenomenal. Yep. Both these guys, it's been a pleasure to watch. And Harry Kane has kind of been tabbed as that power pitcher that's going to strike you out of the pen. Well, today, you said he's relied a lot on his defense. He absolutely has. 19 strikeouts, only 16 innings coming into this game. That's a power pitcher for you. That's not been the case so far today. He has been able to attack guys early, force them to get the bat off of their shoulder, and that's resulted in a lot of flyouts, a lot of groundouts. Waylon also on the other side.
Only 10 walks coming into today for Harry Kane, as he's able to find the strike zone to make the count now 2-1. Has walked 1 batter today. That came in the 2nd inning when he walked the leadoff man and Kyle Vidston. Still only the 1 run came from Ryan Weidman, as that one's curling out towards left field, and Nate Anderson will get under it to make the grab. Another quick inning here, 1, 2, 3 for the Owls, headed to the bottom half of the 5th, with the Hilltopper still on top. Drew Waylon has been near perfect today for Western Kentucky, and what he has been able to do to shut down this Kennesaw State order. 4 strikeouts on the day and 4 innings pitched, a season-high 2 walks, but it hasn't mattered just quite yet.
Well, what he's done, Bryce, as we mentioned, he's commanded the outside corner, which is the hardest pitch to hit for a righty or lefty. He's been able to find that corner, create his own strike zone. That curveball, the changeup, those things dive off a cliff. He's been nothing short of perfect today.
Take a look at the comparison between the 2 starting pitchers, and really outside of the 1 mistake from Harry Kane on the pitch to Ryan Weidman, that really was just a good swing from Weidman and what was a challenge pitch. It's really just been a pitcher's duel through and through.
And it's rare that we've seen one of these at Kennesaw State in these games in Marietta. A lot of these games have been high scoring, a lot of arms thrown out. This has been so far a clean one. Defensively, specifically. Also, the pitching staffs have been almost perfect. There's 1 run on the board, but I mean, dang. this is a team that scores a lot of runs. They get a lot of hits, a lot of homers, a lot of doubles, and for Kane to be able to do that against one of the best lineups in the country is, again, you can't really say too much more about it. Kane has been great.
Hudson Mims at the plate, 0 for 1 today with a strikeout that came back in the 2nd inning. Of these games played at S. Walter Kelly Senior Memorial Field, the lowest scoring one came back in the 2nd game of the season versus Rutgers. A 4 combined run game that was a 3-1 victory for the visiting team in Rutgers. Outside of that, really have not had many other low-scoring games.
Well, you also have to factor in that was a doubleheader. That was the second leg of a doubleheader in that game, which there's a perfect outside fastball. That's the outside corner. Once again, he's been able to put it on a dime all day long. But I was just saying, superstition tells me on doubleheaders, one game is always 10+ runs for one team. The other one is always a pitcher's duel, right? It's always like 2-1, 3-1, something like that.
Hey, you know what? I think both of these teams right now are happy with how their pitchers are pitching, as the Owls are going to get their first official hit of the day and break up the no-hitter that Drew Whalen had going. It'll be Aaron Posey, the first Owl base runner to reach since the 3rd inning.
And boy, it was really difficult for me not to say no-hitter on the air, but there it is. You didn't want to jinx it for the guy. You get a clean single up the middle. No discussion, no two ways about it. Don't take that and leave it into the scorekeeper's hands. That is a hit.
The second lowest run total, by the way, at this field so far this season was 8. So it was 4 is the lowest, 8 was the second lowest, and then 9 and so on and so forth. Every game has been almost double digits as the Owls in the 8 and 9 hole get back-to-back singles from Shamar McDuffie and Aaron Posey. And just like that, Kennesaw State with 1 out, showing some life here in the 5th.
I could be mistaken, but I believe both have been fastballs. Definitely both being early in the count and shot right back where they came from. That one definitely being the heater. Good job from Shamar McDuffie. Not a guy that's really going to get a whole lot of extra base hits. He's a defensive guy. Whatever he can provide for this team is a bonus. That's a bonus right there to try and extend the inning and try to get, again, break the monotony just like the other side was trying for Western Kentucky. And now they can get a mound visit. Maybe things start to go your way and maybe create a big inning here.
So the first time that we've seen a little bit of some unfamiliarity from Drew Whalen. And not comfortable, you could say, giving up back-to-back hits. Had the no-hitter going coming into this inning, and then Aaron Posey and Shamar McDuffie back-to-back singles. And this is where Kennesaw State excelled yesterday. With runners on base, Kennesaw State hit 7 of 20, that's .350. Western Kentucky really did well the same, 6 of 13, hitting .462 with runners on. But for Kennesaw State, it was the 2-out hitting that was kind of where they won the ballgame.
Yeah, with a 9-8 game, I would expect some pretty good averages when you got runners on base. Oh, you got to bring a lot of guys around when you score that many runs in a ball game. But that was really what separated them. Just like you mentioned, 8th, 9th inning, Kennesaw State was the one that came up big. Doesn't mean Western Kentucky certainly can't. For the Owls, that was a really big spell breaker as well, and they really need to put some games together here in the conference season.
5 for 14 yesterday with runners in scoring position. They have one now. And Aaron Posey. 1 gone, 0-1 count here, top of the order, Nate Anderson. Watches a breaking ball miss on the inside part of the plate, evens the count at 1-1.
We'll see if the approach changes a little bit here for Whalen, given he's facing the left-handed batter with guys on base. It doesn't. He's pounding that outside corner. One that just drops off the table. It looks like fastball, fastball, fastball. No, it's in the dirt. and you feel ridiculous for even thinking about it, but that is just an A+ pitch, man.
Not a pitcher that you would want to face in MLB The Show, that's for sure.
No.
1-2 pitch on the way here from Whalen, and it's going to be hit sharply to center field, but Wyman doesn't have to move much to make the grab. Posey is not going to tag up. He's going to hang out at second base, and now 2 away with Chris Cole coming up to bat for Kennesaw State.
Another big spot here with 2 outs. Can Kennesaw State continue their success that they found in the 2-out rallies last night? No bigger spot because, you know what, Bryce, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to get Whalen again. This is the opportunity for the Owls. You got to strike now to even it up.
Yesterday, Chris Cole was able to kind of be in a little bit similar of a situation in the 2nd inning, had runners on in his at-bat. Going to try and put more runners across the plate here for Kennesaw State today. 7 RBIs on the year for the senior. A 1-0 pitch misses in the dirt, now 2-0. And with the 2 runners on, it obviously eliminates that throwback to first, but we saw a couple times yesterday, Jordan, a quick throwback to second, as it looks like that they are having Reed Howard hold Aaron Posey at that bag just in case they want to have that throwback. 2-0 pitch misses low in the dirt, now 3-0. Chris Cole, a walk in his last at-bat facing Drew Whalen. Was able to steal a base and advance to third on an E2.
I think if you're Cole, you're probably going to watch here on 3-0. Not that Chris Cole doesn't have the green light, but in this scenario, in this situation, let him walk you, just like I said.
But nonetheless, still unfamiliar territory here for Whalen. Had only walked one batter in each of his first his 3 walks of the season were all in different starts, only 1 walk. And now with Donovan Cash up after issuing his 3rd walk of the day. Came into the weekend with 3 walks, now 3 today. You have to face a very dangerous hitter. And Donovan Cash, who is just a couple home runs and RBIs away from putting his name into the history books. First pitch he sees is popped up, curling foul over towards the Western Kentucky dugout. It comes back into play, and Whalen is going to get out of it as he is fired up. Kennesaw State going to be wishing they had that opportunity back. So we head to the 6th. Western Kentucky still with the 1-0 lead. Well, the Marietta kid Ryan Weidman had the chance to play hero last night. Game on the line, ends up striking out in what was a great Ryan Gold outing to secure the win for Kennesaw State. But he got his revenge earlier today in the first pitch he saw.
Yeah, still had a pretty good game last night, but you definitely want to have a better feeling when you leave a game. Being the last out never feels good. That feels good. I left the yard with a stamp, some emphasis on that homer. It's exactly what he was looking to start off the game with. And as of right now, technically the only offense that either team has had so far.
You think that might have been a little bit of a frustration swing from last night?
Oh, I certainly think a little bit has to be in there. I mean, this is a guy that, let me restart. Baseball is not a game where these types of emotions can help you all that much. It's good to be amped. It's good to have a little bit of that fire in your gut. But if you go up there with a certain mindset that is a little over the edge, that's called pressing. And things do not go your way. So I think as he's been able to do, if you look at his stat line throughout his entire career going back to Highlands, he's been able to stay composed, channeled that energy into what was a moonshot for a solo bomb.
Carlos Vasquez is going to pop one into right field on the second pitch of the at-bat. 1-0 is going to be caught by Cirillo in right field to record the first out of the top of the 6th inning. Bringing up Ethan Lozama, who's 0 for 2 today, but Harry Kane has looked solid and again has relied on his defense, who have been really solid behind him.
I'm starting to believe, I mean, almost 6 innings into this, there's not really much any of these hitters can do because they are being ambushed by these pitchers. They are filling up the strike zone at an incredible pace. Whalen he hasn't been able to find the zone as much in the last couple of innings, but that guy's still been able to find the edges, find the black right there on the edge of the strike zone. But Kane has forced these guys to take the bat off their shoulder. He's challenging them. He's saying, if you can hit it, go for it.
I would love to see, like, you know how they release umpire reports after, like, MLB games and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I would love to see the report for both of these pitchers and what they've done with peppering the zone and all the pitches that they have in the zone.
I'd like to see one for the umpire because has the catcher caught a single baseball today? It seems like everything is either put in play or fouled off.
Last night, the umpire took a couple of shots, had a foul ball that, or rather a hit by pitch that hit the batter, the catcher, and the umpire. But this one is going to touch nothing but the ground over the fence and right center field as Ethan Lizama hits his 5th home run of the season to extend Western Kentucky's lead to 2.
I would say maybe the most essential player on this team. Everyone talks about Ryan Weidman and all of the great things that he's been able to do this year. Ethan Lizama, maybe one of the best 2-hole hitters in the country. This kid has some legitimate pop. His 5th homer, and that's another one of those. You left it up, he's going to bang it. He threw that one way out of here. I didn't even see it.
I didn't see it land.
I didn't see it land. That's just what this team is made of, Bryce. And Kane, I still has had a really good start, and those are the types of pitches that you can live with. Hey, I gave it my best. That's a challenge. They've answered it twice. This team is not going to lose ball games because of solo home runs. Either side, really. But boy, it's fun to watch that.
Matt Pastore going to come out and have a quick conversation with Harry Kane. We'll see if this is the end of the day for Kane or if this is just going to be a quick talking to. But nonetheless, you know, giving up 2 hits, really, 3 hits on the day. 2 of them have been the long ball.
Yeah.
And what have been just good swings from this Western Kentucky team. First from Weidman, now from Lizama. But if you're Kane, you got to refocus because now you got Weidman coming up.
Yeah, you have to treat every batter like they're their own. You got to treat it like this is a 0-0 ball game. Of course, everyone talks about the goldfish memory, the short-term memory. That's easier said than done, but if there's a guy to do it, I think it's Harry Kane.
Comes back in with a breaking ball strike at the top of the zone.
And by the way, I think he has already far surpassed what was expected of him coming into this one. This was a bullpen guy. This is not a guy that they thought was going to have to be one of their Saturday starters. That's a great pitch right there and made a very good hitter not look like a great hitter right there. 6 innings or trying to get through that 6th inning. I think they might have expected four innings, 3 or 4 innings, maybe give up a handful of runs, 3 maybe. This has been pretty good, even considering the 2 solo jacks.
0-2 pitch to Weidman. It's going to be fouled off. Weidman now a 9-game hitting streak as he has been on fire in recent form. Came into yesterday's game and really just great fashion. Had 4 of his last 5 games before the game yesterday. He had 3 or more hits. You don't see that often.
No.
And versus Eastern Kentucky, he had 5. He went 5 for 5 versus Eastern Kentucky. I mean, that's some impressive stuff to do. You get 5 at-bats, and then just to get on base each time with a hit, 5 hits, you're not going to see that often. And then not to mention, got the program's first ever cycle last Tuesday versus Southern Illinois.
Yeah, he's a true balanced hitter because you talk about power. Everyone immediately thinks, Bryce, okay, power is leaving the yard. I mean, that's how far you can hit the ball. No, power is also about, can you find the gaps? Do you have power to all fields? Can you find also a triple to where you can screen one down the right or left field line and maybe wheel it out? He can do that as well. 19 stolen bases. The guy has some wheels too. He just is the perfect complete package for a player and a center fielder to anchor down your team.
Matt Pastore back out of the dugout. New arm coming into the game for Kennesaw State. It appears Harry Kane's day is done. We'll tell you about the new arm when we come back as Western Kentucky has doubled their lead. It's now 2 over Kennesaw State. Owls are going to call on number 19, the sophomore Daniel Powell, to try and get the final out here in the 6th inning, a 2-1 record, and what will be his 11th appearance on the season with 17 2/3 innings pitched, 14 Ks.
What I love about him is his versatility this year and how Coach Coe and Coach Pastore have used him. He's been your long relief guy. He started a couple of midweeks, and then he can also be the guy coming late in a game, a high leverage situation like this one where you only are down by 2 runs and looking to stay in it. He has the length in the arm to go the rest of the way. Fastball 88 to 91. He can obviously ream it up there, and then the changeup really strong. Predominantly those 2 pitches. He does throw a curveball every once in a while. It's a guy that I think really has impressed the coaching staff. They were looking for him to have a breakout year, and so far through non-conference play, I think he has.
Pitched 2/3 innings versus Georgia Southern in the Owls midweek this week. Struck out 1 in facing only 2 batters. So didn't have that long of an outing. His last outing before that was 2 1/3 versus the Citadel on March 15th, where he faced 7 batters, struck out 1, didn't give up any hits or any runs in that one. This one's going to be rifled foul, but a nice diving effort there by Cam Suda.
And Powell's a guy that really impressed over the summer. That one is by the skin of its teeth. That's a problem ball if that gets over the bag. He's a guy that really improved over the summer. You go back and look at his stats last year, and eye-popping and not really in the good way. He has leaps and bounds improved from last year to this season. This is a sophomore that his freshman campaign has gotten forgotten about. Athletic. Once again, we talked about the talented arm, those 2 pitches that he's going to throw, and just how he's impressed so far for Kennesaw State, a go-to guy out of the pen. he's one of those guys that the coaches will talk about and be like, well, we don't want to use him for this because we want him for this. That's a good sign, just like that is right there.
Great strikeout to end the inning, but it was Western Kentucky with the important mark that gave them their second run of the ball game on this moonshot from Ethan Lizama. He knew it was gone right away, and the Hilltoppers a couple innings away from closing this one out. Back in Marietta here in the middle of March, Kennesaw State and Western Kentucky and the Conference USA season opener, as the Owls currently trail the Hilltoppers by 2 with 2 solo home runs by Ryan Weidman and Ethan Lizama to give the Hilltoppers that 2-run cushion right now. And Jordan, for Kennesaw State last inning, they had their best chance that they have seen in this ball game.
It's tough because you don't know if you're going to get another one of those. Whalen, we'll see how long he goes. He's back on the bump for inning number 6. But when you have struggled to find offense, when you've struggled to kind of find hits, it feels as though it's a little more defeating, a time and a half more defeating when you're not able to capitalize on those, because you're just thinking, man, it's going to be tough to get another one of those because they have so many talented arms that they can throw out there even out of the bullpen as well.
You know, speaking of defeating is having a 6% accurate bracket after the first day of March Madness.
Oof.
I'm not going to say who that was. I'm not. Not speaking for myself.
It's one of the two of us, and it ain't me.
It was a little rough. Louisville did not treat me well in the game opener of March Madness to start off.
How far did you have Louisville going?
I think I had them going at least the next 2 rounds. I think I had them in the Sweet 16.
I had them in the Final Four. So
did you
congratulations.
Really?
Yes. You're looking at this is a very lonely booth right now. Two idiots that do not know anything about basketball apparently.
We were just talking that's a beautiful strikeout on the breaking ball from Drew Whalen. Just talking during the break, Arkansas defeating St. John's in the tournament just a couple moments ago. Just caught up on a couple scores during the break as you get another look at this strikeout. And again, it's the outside corner from Whalen that he's seeing success with.
He's pulling the string on these guys. He's going high heat, and then he's going low and away with the breaking stuff, the changeup and the curveball, the slider as well to right-handers. He has it all. We talked about balance early. There has not been a more balanced pitcher, I think, to get on the bump here on the home season.
So going back to March Madness talk, I got
a
big question. Not like we got a baseball game or anything,
here?
right?
Sure.
Who you got winning it all?
Alabama.
Really?
Root for old Chris Youngblood over there.
Okay, that's fair. Former Kennesaw State Owl was on the Owls tournament team in 2023 after the ASUN championship win. As Cirillo pops that one in foul territory, and it will get out of play. I had Auburn going all the way. I don't know, they basically have an NBA team in college, and what they've been able to do this season has been impressive. I'm not going to lie.
Really went out on a limb there, number 1 overall seed.
Yeah, really picking a.
That's what you get for 6%.
I tried to just do my best, and obviously my best wasn't good enough, as Cirillo's going to squeak one through the infield. And that will be another hit for Kennesaw State. So starting to finally see some success off of Drew Whalen, even though he is still dealing his best stuff.
It's important for Kennesaw State to get the consistent production from Jackson Cirillo. Returned against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets a couple weeks ago. Everything's different with him in the lineup. Everyone's shifted down a little bit. You have a consistent arm also in right field, and that sets up the table for Alec.
Good spot here for Alec. Had the home run yesterday, and what was a 2-for-3 day, or rather 2-for-4 day. Had a fielder's choice, reached on an E4, a single, a home run, and then also reached on a walk. So kind of did a little bit of everything yesterday for Kennesaw State, as he's behind in the count here 0-1.
And you're looking dead red, pitch 1, and he pulls the string. I mean, it's just kind of unfair in the best way possible for WKU Whalen. How are you supposed to hit this? This guy's approach is second to none.
I bet you these Western Kentucky hitters were very happy to not have to hit against him after the fall season.
Yeah. I think they were tired of that.
Yeah. that combination of him and Jack Bennett as Alex swings through that one. Bennett was one of 2 pitchers in the country going into yesterday with a 0.00 ERA before the Owls were able to change that. But that combination of pitching staff, I mean, that'll get you ready for a season, having to try and learn how to hit off of those guys.
And I'm wishing I talked with Coach Raridan about Whalen a little bit more. I'm not sure if this was really expected of him. I mean, as a freshman, did get to the Conference USA freshman team in Conference USA, but only 36 innings, 25 coming into today already. His ERA was in the 5s last year.
Chance for a double play. They'll get the out at second, throw down to first, not in time. So another fielder's choice in which Wes Allig will reach, and Hudson Mims with 2 gone will try and come up and extend the inning for Kennesaw State.
Yeah, just rolled over the breaker and was able to leg it out there. You don't want to have 2 wrongs in the same at-bat. Give it your best effort and use that speed to your advantage and keep the inning alive. For a clutch Hudson Mims.
Came into yesterday's game with only 3 at-bats on the year as his check swing still goes around. I think that was a strike either way. But got his first hit of the season in what was a very clutch hit that ended up helping the Owls in a 3-run 8th inning to get them pushed over the finish line against this Western Kentucky team, as he'll foul off the second pitch down the third base line.
And Bryce, I think that first pitch was the one to go with. He hung it in the top of the zone. Mims certainly wants that one back, but you don't get it back, and you only get about 1 good pitch per AB when it comes to elite pitchers like this.
Have to think that this might be the last we'll see of Drew Whalen. A season high in pitches thrown here today so far with an 0-2 pitch on Hudson Mims. It'll be his 92nd pitch on the way, and a breaking ball wanted that outside corner, but pulled the string on it too much and misses in the dirt. His highest pitch count before this was against UNC Asheville back on March 8th, where he threw 5 2/3 and threw 87 pitches. Was in the 80 pitch range twice this season, 84 for Central Michigan as well. His home is high with the heater, 2-2. But this is a guy that has been going relatively deep into games here for Western Kentucky. Every game this season since his first start, where he threw 4 1/3, he's gone at least 5 innings.
That's impressive.
2-2 pitch. Can't find the bottom part of the zone. A good eye there by Hudson Mims to lay off on it and draw the count full.
And typically, Bryce, you don't see that a whole lot early in the season because guys are just starting to warm their arms up. Last thing you want is an injury. That tells me that this coaching staff knew this guy was good to go. He was warm and ready to start off the spring season, and you can see why.
Through 5 2/3 here. We'll have to wait to get through 6, as Allig was on the run with the 3-2 count with 2 outs, and it will put Hudson Mims down at first base. Honestly, may not be the worst case scenario there for Western Kentucky with how well Hudson Mims is at the plate. We'll bring up Aaron Posey, who had the first hit of the game to break up the no-hitter for the Hilltopper pitcher. That hit came back just an inning ago in the 5th. Posey ended up getting all the way around to third. Bases were loaded for Kennesaw State, as we're going to have another mound meeting here.
If the Owls have done nothing in this game, it's mess up his strike to walk ratio.
Yeah.
They have forced a lot of long counts later on as his pitch counts also started to rise. But another 2-out opportunity here for Kennesaw State. Aaron Posey coming up. He also has had a tendency to have the clutch gene so far. And there's this string on Whalen.
So they are going to end his day there. A new pitcher coming into the game. We'll tell you about the new arm when we come back. Kennesaw State trying to get back on the right track and tie this game up here in the 6th inning. The senior Trayson Peters in with 2 outs and 2 runners on to try and end the inning here for Western Kentucky, as the right-handed pitcher who's rocking a 4.64 ERA comes in at a little bit of a tough spot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. 2 runners on for Kennesaw State. Another possible potential opportunity to try and pull within at least 1 in this one. Peters, a guy, I know 14 walks doesn't necessarily say the story, but he does fill up the zone quite a bit. Likes that fastball at 55% of the time. He can get it up to about 91 miles an hour. His second go-to pitch is that slider, a wipeout slider. Throws about 20% of the time. And then that cutter does have a changeup. It doesn't really throw it a whole lot, as well as a curveball. So typically a 3-pitch mix. He's going to attack these guys early, just like Whalen had been doing, and look out for that slider to punch you out.
4 strikeouts or more in his first 4 starts of the season. Had only 1 strikeout and an inning of and 2/3 work versus UT Martin in what was his shortest outing of the year. Only threw 46 pitches. Before that, has really been a guy for this Hilltopper team that they've been relying on to kind of go as a relief pitcher to get just a couple innings out of him and kind of stretch it and relieve the bullpen arms and try and keep him fresh.
I think he's been able to do that, given you almost went 6 innings with your starter. They lead the league in ERA. They've been able to eat up a whole lot of innings, so their bullpen should be well rested when they come into the conference season, which I don't think you can say too much about. That is a huge asset to have in your back pocket. Of your bullpen arms are juiced and ready to go.
Keeps the righty-righty matchup on with Posey, the right-handed batter. 2 runners on here for Kennesaw State with 2 away. First pitch is a breaking ball that misses on the outside corner. A large round of applause and ovation for Drew Whalen as he was walking off the bump, as was for Harry Kane. A good Western Kentucky traveling crowd here. And they were loud last night, have been loud here today so far, as a heater is blown right by Posey on the swing and miss.
Yeah, you had a Weidman obviously being a hometown guy. That's going to bring out more than just a few family members. They didn't get a whole lot of chances to watch them, and then that brings out maybe a few more people and a few more people after that. And they've done a good job at creating their own environment here in Kennesaw, or Marietta. Oof, get used to that.
We're up in Kennesaw.
We're up in Kennesaw.
Calling the game
yes.
at Fifth Third Stadium. They're down there a couple miles down the road.
Lacrosse game got done just moments before we got on air.
Well, a little bit different. It was 22-18 in the lacrosse game. We're sitting at 2-0 here. A little bit different,
Well, still plenty of ball to be played,
There's still a good chance that we can see another, 40 runs come across the plate?
Probably. More likely than not.
3-1 pitch here to Posey on the way. Has been good at being patient in this at-bat. And he'll swing through with the green light to draw the count full.
Yeah, it's a great pitch to Fulham. He was definitely looking dead red there. Swung over the top of it, had to catch up. Excuse me, got caught out on the front foot.
3-2 pitch upcoming here. Runners go, and he gets the strikeout on the outside. It worked for Whalen, and it'll work for him as well, as Trayson Peters comes in and does his job, shuts down the Owls' attack, and Peters, with a beautiful pitch on the outside corner, gets the swing and miss and preserves the Hilltoppers' 2-run lead. A much different ball game we have going on this afternoon, Jordan. 24 hits last night, only 6 here combined between these two teams. Western Kentucky only 3 for 21, but 2 of those hits have been the long ball.
Yeah, they've kind of turned the whole Friday, Saturday stereotypes on their head. A lot of runs on a Friday night and not as many on the Saturday. Also, ERA being one of the very few stats in sports that you want to see a 0 in. That's exactly what they've had so far. Whalen has been able to lead the charge for them, and the bats have not been able to go in, so you can also compliment Harry Kane, what he's been able to do. He's kind of gone power for power, and that's what's resulted in 2 solo jacks, which if 2 swings of the bat are what changes a ball game, I think you can live with that. There are a lot more pitches to be had out there that are left on the table that weren't left off the table because of what Kane was able to do.
Harry Kane threw 73 total pitches, 51 of which for strikes. With 3 strikeouts, gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, both of them being the home runs. So they go down as being earned. Only walked 1 batter and facing 21 of them. So a very solid day for Harry Kane. Daniel Powell coming in at the end of last inning to get the final out, and it was a strikeout. So 4 strikeouts for this Kennesaw State pitching staff here this afternoon. Relied heavily on their defense, but still have looked solid on the on the bump.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And again, you go back to the expectation. Do I know what the staff expected of him? No, but I can imagine it wasn't what he was able to put out. And Daniel Powell doing what he does best, and he also gets another punch out.
Powell, a beautiful swing and miss there, gets back-to-back strikeouts now since entering the game. As we get another look at it here, and just as last inning, or rather a half inning ago, Trayson Peters gets the swing and miss on the ball outside and low. Daniel Powell does the same thing and gets the same result, a strikeout.
And this has kind of been a story for Kennesaw State this year. Their pitchers have been able to get the swing and miss stuff. They've been able to ring guys up in 5, now make it 6 games if you count last night. This year, they've been able to get 10 or more strikeouts as a club.
It's been impressive what this pitching staff has been able to do. And, you know, with some early struggles that Matt Passor talked about, said particularly with ERA, you know, it creates learning opportunities is what he said. And how are your guys that, you know, maybe guys that, you know, are a little bit younger and a little bit less experienced, it gives you a chance to kind of talk to them, as we see an offensive timeout here called by Western Kentucky. But having those guys be able to get that in-game learning experience is more valuable than what you're going to get in sometimes practice.
Well, for Kennesaw State's sake and Matthew Passor, you're looking at having to do that because there's no other way these guys are going to learn. You got to throw him in on the job learning. Daniel Powell's a sophomore, by the way, guys. Like, this is a guy that's still early on in his career, and he's in a big leverage situation in a very close game that might decide the series. Who knows what happens tomorrow, and he's performing to the best of his ability.
Saw the check swing, foul ball on the second pitch, so will go down as an out, basically acts as a bunt right there. And if you bunt with 2 outs, goes down as an out. So Kennesaw State and Daniel Powell 1 out away from getting back up to the plate, and they've been able, as another check swing foul ball comes across, this time from Drew Berrigan. That was Dylan O'Connell, who was out the last batter. But Kennesaw State has had an opportunity now in back-to-back innings with runners in scoring position, had the bases loaded, and then 2 runners on, both times with 2 outs. We're unable to do anything with it a night after going 8 for 16 with 2 outs in the batting stats.
Yeah, it's easy to say, hey, they need to bring these runners home, but look at who they're going against. And he has been able, Waylon I'm speaking of, and who they brought out in the bullpen as well. Hot arms, guys that are ready to get after it, and they have been able to put on a pitching display. There have not been a whole lot of cookies, not a whole lot of meatballs for this team to really grasp.
Another strikeout for Daniel Powell, his 3rd since entering the game. And 1, 2, 3, the Hilltoppers go down in order with Kennesaw State still trailing by 2, trying to find a way to get back into this one. Came back from behind last night, going to have to do it again here tonight as the Hilltoppers still on top. From game 1 to game number 2 for Kennesaw State, 8 runners left on base here this afternoon for the Owls. No runs to show for 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, and really just a dominant performance from Drew Whalen. Now Trayson Peters coming in and making his stuff work as well.
Every arm, all 2 of them. Both of them, as most people say, not all 2 of them. Both of them have been able to keep the Owls on their toes in the box. Once again, we haven't seen a whole lot of those swings that they come out of their shoes on. That's because they don't know what to expect. There's just so much thrown at them, and when you can throw that many pitches at the entire lineup with command, Bryce, that makes it just so lethal because you're going up there and you're practically either you're going to try and see ball, hit ball, which is tough, or you're going up there guessing, which is tough. There isn't really a great solution that's really, I think, been accredited to good pitching. Sure, has Kennesaw State kind of not been able to get what they needed? Obviously, 8 left on base is not what you want, but at the same time, I think it's a little bit of both.
The Owls yesterday left 11 runners on base, but had 9 runs to show for it at the end of the night with a W. Owls yesterday, again, 8 for 16, 2-out hitting, today 0 for 7. So a much different game number 1 to game number 2. 9-1-2 due up in the order for the Owls as McDuffie falls behind quickly 0-2.
And one of the things about the balance as well is that it really puts you behind the fastball. Because if you're not really knowing what to expect, if you're not sitting fastball, you're probably not going to hit fastball. It's really hard for these guys that have the 91, the 92 in the arsenal. Ouch. I know that one had to hurt for him. But to try and hit the 91, 92 when you're kind of on your back foot a little bit mentally, I went off the left foot of McDuffie. He's a tough guy. That makes it even more difficult because if you can't hit the ball that you're looking for, it makes your entire approach completely different.
The speed difference is going to hurt you no matter what, like you said. Is McDuffie, did he go around? And he did not, says the first base umpire. So McDuffie gets away with checking up on his swing. Get another look at it here. Moves the count to 1-2. That's close, but I'm going to have to agree. I think he held it up just enough. 1-2 pitch. Rides on the inside, now 2-2.
I also like to just go back. You talk about did the wrist, did the bat break the plane? I also just like to say if it's close, did it look like a swing?
Yeah.
That one, in my opinion, did not look like a swing.
2-2 pitch. Misses low, so because of that check swing, has now been able to draw this count out to become full. Now 3-2. And Trayson Peters, 14 walks on the season, so it has not been something that has been uncommon for him, but still has been relatively dominant for this Western Kentucky team. Full count pitch. Right in the middle, off of Peters. It bounces to the shortstop. The throw to first is still in time. Give him the assist on that one. A 1-6-3 putout to retire Shamar McDuffie.
Boy, this looks like a lot of MLB The Show rage clips that I've been able to watch the last few days. Hitting it off the pitcher's foot directly to the shortstop. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a base hit 9 times out of 10. That just happened to be the 10th time. I mean, when you're going good as a pitcher, and when you're not as a batter, you're not. And that is just a really tough break for a solidly hit ball.
Controller would have been in pieces if it was in mine.
I have a history of breaking controllers. I have a history of that.
My roommates make fun of me because I have a history of breaking headsets.
Wow.
But to be fair, the last couple that have broken have not been my fault.
Hey, we're one and the same when it comes to brackets and breaking gaming equipment, apparently.
I promise it's not rage issues.
We're fine. We're fine.
It's the game. It's the game's fault.
Yeah.
It's not our fault.
If I break one every other year, I mean, sue me.
Forbid we have hobbies, right? 1-1 pitch here to the one-hole hitter and Nate Anderson. Fouls that one away. You got in the new show game this year?
Oh, absolutely.
You been playing it?
I haven't had a whole lot of time on my hands to get to it, so no.
No dedication.
I'm not.
You don't want to grind?
Brother, I'm tired when I get home after these days.
I know our producer, Sanders Sullivan, used to be a top 1,000 player. That's what he used to brag about that one.
Really?
Top 1,000.
In MLB The Show?
In MLB The Show. I think it was MLB The Show 23.
Ah. He's past his prime. Washed, as the kids say, huh?
I'm sure he'll be getting in your ear here in a second to defend himself. 2-2 pitch here to Nate Anderson with one gone in the 7th. Anderson rolls over and foul. Doing a nice job of extending at bats this Kennesaw State team. Powell, or rather Peters, just coming into the game last inning, already up to 18 pitches. A full count already from Shamar McDuffie to start off this inning. Now 2-2 here for Nate Anderson, who's 0 for 3 on the day. Pops that one up high into the air, curling towards it, going out of play. A long run, but it ends up holding up nicely for Reed Howard. A long run from the shortstop position, but is able to make the grab right by the tarp to record the second out of the inning.
Wow, that's another one of those. That's bad luck for the hitter. I mean, that one looks like it's drifting out of play 100%. Nate barely even gives it that look. He thinks he's going to keep the AB going, and that one is pushed back into play. And this is a very helpless feeling right here. What are you going to do? Just a terrible way to end the AB when you're the hitter.
Especially after getting that to a 2-2 count. You're working your way through that at-bat.
And he's done such a great job all year of working counts. And I think the Owls, I know the score doesn't indicate it, but I really think that the Owls have seen a lot of pitches. I think they've done a great job of working counts against high-quality arms. It just hasn't gone their way. Ball has not bounced in Kennesaw State's direction today.
Literally.
Yeah.
Has not bounced in their direction today. 1-1 pitch here for Chris Cole, who's drawn 2 walks here in this ball game so far. Just fouls that one off and a little bit frustrated with himself on that swing.
Yeah.
Now 1-2 the count.
Well, again, because of the high-quality pitching, he was looking for it. He got it. He missed it. You know, fouled that one off. That's the one that kind of stings a little bit because he said, I saw it. It was right there. Just couldn't put it in play.
Try the 1-2 again. Trayson Peters finds the outside corner. It's been the outside part of the plate all day for this Hilltopper pitching staff that has been a thorn in Kennesaw State's side, and it continues to plague the Owls here in the 7th inning. A beautiful pitch that ends the Owls' bottom half of the 7th. We head to the 8th with the Hilltoppers still up by 2. Back in Marietta, Georgia, as Western Kentucky and their pitching staff have dominated these Owls hitters today. Kennesaw State may have 3 hits to show for it, but the outside of the plate has not been kind to Kennesaw State, and these Western Kentucky pitchers have exploited that this afternoon.
I mean, again, dang. They could not go up to the plate and set the ball in the strike zone in better spots than where they've been able to throw it today. They have been sharp. They've been on it and pretty much perfect so far.
Reed Howard up now in the 8th inning for Western Kentucky. 8-9-1 due up for the Hilltoppers. Howard 0 for 2 on the day, and he'll foul that one off over towards the hill down the first base side.
Hey, he didn't have the dedication that fan
didn't.
earlier did.
No, there was no sprint in there. There was no lunge for it. I'm telling you, were you, when you were growing up and going to baseball games, were you a bring the glove to the ballpark kind of guy?
I was, and I never caught one.
Never?
Never caught one. My brother caught one right next to me one time, and I brought my glove and had my glove ready. And he
just took it away from you?
He got it off the ground. It's probably the worst day of my life. I appreciate you bringing that up.
I had one recently at a Braves game. We were sitting there and didn't bring the glove, but that one's going to get through Hudson Mims and roll all the way to the corner, where Nate Anderson is going to have to chase it around for a little bit, and Howard's going to hold up at second with a leadoff double here for Western Kentucky to start off the 8th inning.
Well, that's also the danger of not putting up runs, as Western Kentucky at some point is going to find their groove, whether it be today or tomorrow. Reed Howard with a lace double past Hudson Mims. Nothing he could do about that one.
Bring up Anthony Westbrook, the catcher here today for the Hilltoppers. He's 0 for 2 with 2 flyouts.
All right, enough about this game. You were in the middle of the story.
I was. We were sitting in the 100s, kind of under the second story seats, or the second level seats. Fly ball comes over the net directly at us. Guy in front of us jumps up, hits his hand. I mean, it was coming right at us.
Oh.
There was also one time in Pittsburgh there was a home run ball that landed 3 seats next to us, as that bunt is going to be perfectly placed and perfectly executed by Anthony Westbrook to move Reed Howard on over to third and put the now 3rd run possibility of the day for Western Kentucky, only 90 feet away.
Yeah, it might not feel like it, but that's a big deal right there. That's a perfect bunt, as you said. A little juice on it to get it over to Hudson Mims. You only had to take a few steps into the infield grass. Great bunt to put on going the other way.
But to finish off the thought,
of course,
I do wish I had the opportunity to catch more foul balls in my fan days.
Yeah.
When I was little. I mean, that's going to the ballpark. That's what you were hoping for, no matter where you sat.
Well, I can tell you what, we ain't gonna catch him in Kennesaw.
You don't think
It's got to be a heck of a foul ball to get here.
Just what is it? 5? Well, how far? What is it? 10 miles up the road?
Couldn't tell you.
About
I'm
something
directionally challenged. I measure I'm from the Midwest. I measure time as my distance, not distance.
So we're going to need a 15-minute foul ball.
A 15-minute foul. With traffic, could be 20.
Yeah, you never know with Atlanta traffic on 75. Here's Carlos Vasquez back up to the plate. He's 1 for 3 on the day with a single that came back in the third.
Expect a guy that's going to shorten up his swing. All he has to do is put it in play. But with an infield in, doesn't matter. He blasts it past him.
It'll score another run, an RBI single for Carlos Vasquez, his second hit of the day, and it will extend the Hilltopper lead back out to 3. And this Western Kentucky team is trying to get revenge for how last night's game ended, the infield playing in, and he's able to find the hole between short and third.
You know, I think obviously Kennesaw State infield, you got to play in this situation. A tight game as you're getting down to the 8th and 9th inning. But that's the disadvantage. I think that play might be made by Hudson Mims if they're at normal depth in the infield. Who knows? We'll never know. But that's kind of the dangerous game that you play. Just okay.
Looks like another offensive timeout here for Western Kentucky.
Thought that might have been an intentional walk, but want to talk to their hitters. These guys have put up big numbers, and they have a chance to do it again.
Speaking of putting up big numbers, that's what Lizama did in the 6th inning. It may have only been 1 home run, and we don't have the distance on it, but I bet you that distance is a big number up there in the 400s.
Well, it's kind of like you know, back in the day, the Blake Griffin dunks that were over everybody. Yeah, technically it's only worth 2 points, but boy, it feels like a heck of a lot more. That was a blast. You thought the Weidman shot was a moonshot. I don't know what the distance was on that, but boy, I think it's got to start with the number 4.
Certainly not the number 5. I didn't see it land in the replay.
I didn't either. So
I guess it
that went as far as our imagination could take us.
Yeah, that's probably, you know, a 15-minute home run south.
15 minutes. Boy, we've come off the rails.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Runner goes, swing and miss, and that'll be a free stolen base for Carlos Vasquez. His now 7th of the season, now 7 for 8 on stolen base attempts.
Putting a hit and run on with 1 out in the top of the 8th. Aggressive. Aggressive. Why not? Right?
Well, when you got a 3-run cushion, I mean, why not try and tack on more and, you know, give yourself that cushion for the 9th inning? Because we know what this Kennesaw State team has the ability to do. Saw it last night with the 3-run inning and a pass ball, or rather wild pitch in the dirt. It's going to bounce away from Posey. Is going to allow Vasquez to advance over to third. So just again, now 90 feet away from their 4th run.
Yeah, certainly not the pitch that Powell was looking for. Buried that one a little too much, and foul territory or not, that ball got away from Posey. Not much you can do. It's tough to get in front of one like that dies so much further ahead than you're expecting.
Lizama fouls that one off behind home plate to even the count up at 2-2. These two teams will face off in game number 3 in what's looking like a possible rubber match if the Hilltoppers can hold on tomorrow, with first pitch scheduled for 1:05. We'll be back on air, Jordan and I on the call. Jordan will have the play-by-play for you tomorrow afternoon. As that's a nice strikeout from Daniel Powell to get Ethan Lizama down, and now that'll be the 2nd out, a big out there for Kennesaw State.
Huge. Now it's going to force a base hit to score a 4th run, which it doesn't sound like it, but there's a big difference in baseball from the 3rd and 4th runs scored, and they're going to intentional walk Ryan Weidman here, and I do not blame them.
It'll put runners on the corners, and with what Weidman was able to do in the very first inning of this game with the solo home run to left center field, you're going to try and get Thomas Marsala, who's 0 for 3 on the day, with a strikeout and a couple groundouts.
And Weidman hasn't technically lit the Owls on fire so far. A solo jack isn't necessarily a killer. Had a good game last night, but you don't want to give him the opportunity to light you on fire either.
Correct.
In a clutch spot like this.
Well, if you think about it, Kennesaw State, as they're going to fake the throwback to 2nd. Oh, they have him in a rundown, actually. So they're going to try and score the run, and we'll see if they do score it. And the run is going to score, and it's not going to count, however. So they got Vasquez needed to go right away in that pickle that he was put in to try and get that run to score before the runner was tagged out. he did not do that, so Weidman gets tagged out before the run scores, and the Owls are able to get out of it, still trailing by 3, with a little bit of a hiccup from the Hilltopper offense, with Western Kentucky still on top. Not your conventional caught stealing, a 1-6, wait for it, 3. Caught stealing, not a put out, just caught stealing. And the big issue there, and as we were going to break, you saw Weidman frustrated. Vasquez needed to go right away. They were trying to score the run before the out, because then it would have counted. But Vasquez did not move off that third base bag, and you can see the frustration here from Weidman, wondering why Vasquez didn't go. Now it brings up a big opportunity here for Kennesaw State, and Donovan Cash, who's going to lead off the inning with a single off of Trayson Peters. Cash going to try and push 2, but he's going to be out. They were a little lollygagging trying to get that ball into the infield. Cash tried to take advantage of it, but instead it doesn't pay off, and what would have been a leadoff single for Kennesaw State ends up being a single with Cash caught trying to advance.
I will never find myself criticizing a player for trying to leg something out, get the hustle play in. Tough to do it in this type of situation at the same time. You just want to start something positive for your team, try and get some momentum building, and then that happens. Also, a great throw from right field, and now all of a sudden you got 2 quick outs that looked like a promising inning, and now might be a 1-2-3. We'll see.
It very well could have been a double play either way, with that ball being hit sharply towards third at Cam Sudo. So Carlos Vasquez makes the long throw across to get the second out. So, you know, depending on how things would have gone, and granted, Sudo may have taken a different approach if he has a runner on.
I agree.
So it's, you know, you're trying to just manufacture something here late in the ball game whenever you really haven't had much success with hitting with runners on. Here's Jackson Shirillo. He's 1 for 3 on the day with the single that came last inning, or rather his last at-bat in the 6th inning. Shirillo with the 1-1 count. Trayson Peters will step back and toe the rubber. Kicks and fires for his 28th pitch. Ooh, that one's going to hurt Shirillo.
Gosh.
That one is not going to feel good. Foul ball right off the outside of his left ankle. Just going to want a second to walk that one off.
Well, battling the injury coming into this season with the hit by pitch. You can even see it on that left forearm of his. Has that brace there. Well, what about the feet?
Yeah.
Ouch.
Not much. There's not much you can do to protect you. He has that Evo shield on the ankle. But they make, it's very interesting. Hockey players have these skate guards that protect them from blocking shots with the puck. It's basically just a piece of plastic. I'd be curious to see if that is something that baseball players might start to try and look at with a lot more frequent foul balls off the foot.
Somehow, some way, you brought up hockey.
I had to do it. I had to figure it out. I
you
did it last night, too.
You made it wow. 2 for 2.
2 for 2. You know, we're going to go
Someone's batting 1,000.
Hey, you know what? I'll take that any day. 2-2 pitch is going to be fouled off. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going for 3 for 3 tomorrow. We're going to figure out a way to bring it in.
Well, you're going to have plenty of opportunity. Plenty of opportunity.
Kennesaw State still trailing by 3. Shirillo batting in the 5 hole. If Kennesaw State is unable to do anything here, they'll have 6, 7, 8 due up in the bottom of the 9th. Shirillo has drawn the count full. Now 3 balls, 2 strikes. With 2 outs, nobody on. And a 3-0 Western Kentucky lead. Three-two pitch. Does not go. He does a nice job in drawing the walk. So that'll bring up Wes Allig, the freshman. The lone freshman in this Kennesaw State batting order. One of 2 freshmen playing in this ball game for either side. And he will try and keep the inning alive for Kennesaw State. The Owls, one of 7 teams in Conference USA getting a win yesterday. Dallas Baptist, FIU, Liberty, Louisiana Tech, New Mexico State, and Sam Houston all got their first Conference USA wins of the season yesterday or today. A couple games already gone final in Conference USA this afternoon, as Alex stands in with the righty-righty matchup. First pitch misses low.
That, to me, almost sounded like the stat that Reese Davis popped out not that long ago about SEC being 81-81 in conference games. I thought you were kind of going there, and I was a little worried.
Nah, you know, I won't go that far. I won't go that far. I'm not going to pull a random stat that far out of my bag.
Of course not. A big spot right now for the freshman in Alec. We talked about the clutch gene. All three of his home runs have come later in games when they've desperately been needed for Kennesaw State. And you see the Western Kentucky pitching coach coming out for the first time today, which is always a great sign that your first mound visit has to be in the bottom of the 8th with 2 outs.
And it kind of speaks to how you've built your pitchers.
Yeah.
And what we've talked about with these coaches this week, saying that they trust their guys, you know, in building a culture, and they know what this program is about. You just don't need to tell them they have to lock in. They know that going into it. Cirillo will stand over there at first. A 2-0 count here to Wes Alec. It'll be Hudson Mims as of now on deck for Kennesaw State. 2-0 pitch is rifled to left field. And if it stays fair, which it will not, it would have been gone a little bit early on it. And what would have been a massive 2-run bomb for the freshman. Just barely missed it. Cirillo was rounding second by the time that ball reached foul territory. It moves the count to 2-1. Rides inside, now 3-1.
Well, now you've earned the respect. You've shown the pop. Not that he didn't already know that, but you've shown the pop. Now all of a sudden, a guy who's kind of scuffled here the last 2 batters to find the zone, is he going to go right back at you? I find it hard to believe.
We'll see what he comes with. The outside and away pitch has been the strikeout pitch. 3-1 is going to miss way high and over the head of both the catcher and the batter, Wes Alec. And it'll be back-to-back walks issued here by Trayson Peters, with Hudson Mims coming up to the plate. And we talked about him having the clutch gene for Kennesaw State. Can he do it again?
Now, there's both sides of this one here, Bryce. If you're Western Kentucky, I do believe that this is the guy you want to see at the plate, the guy with the least amount of at-bats in the starting lineup. If you're Kennesaw State, I think this is exactly who you want at the plate right now. This is a guy that has come through time and time again. Whenever his number is called, he's been able to show up for Kennesaw State. And I also think that this might be a good call if they're going to the pin, which I believe that they are.
Mims with 8 home runs last season in 2024. And what he saw is 169 total plate appearances in 2023. Mims was also good at hitting the long ball, having 8 home runs that season as well. Again, not a lot of at-bats here in this season so far, as it will be the end of the day for Trayson Peters. Has had 1 at-bat in 3 games, the third of which being yesterday, and what he had 2 runs coming across the plate to score after drawing a hit-by pitch, and got a hit yesterday as well. But an RBI along with it for his first hit of the season. And the new arm into the game is going to be the sophomore Evan Jones.
And I was wondering when in this series they were going to go to him. Their closer this year. He's got outstanding stuff. Not a single walk. 12 Ks on the year. Hasn't gotten a ton of opportunities. Only 8 innings pitched. Well, let me rephrase. Not a ton of innings, but a ton of opportunities. 8 innings. He's been flawless this year.
6'3", 217 from Normal, Illinois. This guy has been rock solid for this team this year. Has pitched over an inning in 4 of his 8 appearances so far, or rather 5 of his appearances so far this season. Strikeout numbers, not, the greatest. Had 6 in his first appearance of the season versus Illinois State. But ever since, really has not struck out all that much, but has gotten the job done.
Yeah, you're looking at a very different pitcher than what we've been able to see so far today. His slider at 86, you can see the ERA is very much because of their bullpen as well on the back end, as well as the starters that we've been able to see. This guy throws a slider 62% of the time. That wipeout slider, you're going to see it more often than not, and then his fastball, which can get up to about 91 at 37%. And if you can throw this guy out there to close a game out, your ERA is going to be pretty darn good. Also, what is in the water in Tennessee?
I don't know.
That's a big, big, big gap.
But with what Tennessee has been able to do in the college baseball world,
yes.
I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of what Duke was a couple of years ago in college basketball. I mean, Tennessee is the program to be for collegiate baseball. That is what you strive to try and get your program to.
Yeah.
Doing a great job of that so far. With Hudson Mims at the plate. And Evan Jones trying to get the final out of the 8th inning. Kennesaw State threatening. Tying run at the plate. 0-1 pitch is rifled into right field. Taking a couple steps back is going to be Ethan Lazama. But he is going to be able to secure the grab. So Mims gives it a ride, but not enough. Western Kentucky holds on to their 3-run lead as we head to the 9th. For Western Kentucky, they may not have a lot of runs, but they've gotten runs when it mattered, and it all started off with Ryan Weidman in the top of the 1st inning. First pitch he saw, he sent the distance, and then Ethan Lazama wanted to get in on the fun himself with a moonshot to right field. And then being able to poke it through was Carlos Vasquez. The 1-2-3 hitters today for Western Kentucky have done all the work.
Yeah, 3 runs, and as of right now, when your pitcher does what he did with Whalen and what Peters was able to do as well, that's all you need is 3 runs to win a ball game, which sounds asinine, but it's the truth right now for Western Kentucky. They've been able to keep Kennesaw State on their heels, and their offense has supplemented just enough to have a somewhat comfortable lead.
So it'll be Thomas Marsala back up to the plate. Was batting at the end of the top of the 8th inning when Weidman got caught stealing on the 1-6-3 caught stealing, trying to get a 4th run across the plate for Western Kentucky and Carlos Vasquez, who was unable to score before Weidman was tagged in the pickle. Daniel Powell struggling to find the zone here against Marsala, who's 0 for 3 on the day, but up 3-0 in this count. Kicks and fires. And we'll miss the zone high. A leadoff walk here for Western Kentucky. Kyle Vidston will come in and bat second in this inning. It was 4-5-6 originally due up here for the Hilltoppers coming into this inning. As you get another look at the game summary, Kennesaw State yesterday 8 of 16 hitting with 2 outs today. 0 for 9, 10 batters left on base. But they got a really solid start from Harry King.
Enough to keep you in a game and keep your thoughts positive. If you think you're going to get 5 2/3 over 2 earned runs from Harry Kane, I think if you ask the coaches, what do you think is going to happen, they think they're going to win that game.
Yeah.
That he exceeded expectations, I believe, and had such an outstanding day. Made 2, if you want to call them mistakes, sure, I wouldn't, but 2 pitches that were just sent out of the yard, and that's just good Western Kentucky hitting. They've been within striking distance, obviously, the entire game. It's just been by the skin of their teeth, an inch here, an inch there, ball blowing back in play off a pitcher's foot. It's been a lot of oddities today that have also kept Kennesaw State down.
New batter into the game, and it's going to be a bunt that's going to advance the runner at first. A quick step on the bag for the covering Powell, and they will get the runner out. That was Henry Brown pinch hitting there for Kyle Vidston.
Well, that is a picture-perfect job of what you want. Focused on the bunt, got the bunt down. This is also, I don't know whether you're a proponent of it or not, the safety bag is in play for that very reason, because that is a very close play between 2 guys that are not looking at each other's legs. You know, those are guys that could get tangled up. Someone could step on somebody's ankle. You could get into the base path, truck the guy. I mean, there's so much that can go on in that kind of play. That's why they have the safety bag. And again, whether you like it or not, one way or another, that's one of the reasons why I think that they've gone to it this year.
Showing bunt again. That one is going to roll foul, so it's going to put the runner back in Marsala at second base, who is being pinch ran for by number 32. That is Joe Severo. So Western Kentucky electing to try and go to the bench to try and get some new guys some action here with a 3-run lead, and just trying to get the best possibilities for some outcomes to try and get another run across the plate and put an even bigger cushion on this lead. Again, with the bases loaded, the tying run would still be at the plate if Western Kentucky is able to get their runner from second to score. But right now trying to make sure that they can just get some insurance. 1-1 pitch here to O'Connell. Misses on the outside.
Well, one of the reasons why you want to get that 4th run, how many runs did Kennesaw State score in the 8th last night? 8.
Yeah.
Excuse me, 3. In the 8th inning, they scored 3. You do not want to get caught up in a tie game. I think that 3-4 is maybe the biggest difference when it comes to run differential in baseball.
O'Connell rolls over it, foul down the third base line.
So, I mean, you even go to the pitching stats. 3 runs, you're eligible for the save. You do have some, you know, some factors to that, some factoids underneath that could extend that. But still, 3 runs is typically, I think, what you call a close game versus one that's a little more comfortable.
Throw back to second to try and get Ciervo. And just keep him honest at that second base bag. Wes Alec holding him on and keeping him honest. It's a 1-2 count here for Dylan O'Connell. He's also 0 for 3 on the day with a strikeout, a ground out, and a flyout. 36 pitch here for Daniel Powell. This is in the dirt. And, you know, you got to give credit to Kennesaw State. Only 2 arms used in this game, so they've pretty much saved everybody. And 2 arms used in last night's game, with the starting pitcher being Ty Bayer, and then Ryan Renfro came in, and then Ryan Gold was closing out. So 3 pitchers used in last night's game, but 5 pitchers used. And did he go around? He did not, so that'll be a walk there for Dylan O'Connell. But you've only used 5 pitchers so far on the weekend. I mean, I think that's something that you can be pretty happy about. Western Kentucky's used 6, including Evan Jones here today. So both these teams are going to still have some options in their bullpen if need be going into tomorrow's matchup.
Yeah, and I think you still haven't really seen the best of the best from the bullpen. Now, Jones is awful good, and they did use Dawson Hall, but only for 1 inning last night for Western. And for Kennesaw State, you still haven't seen Bo Rudy, no Smith Pinson either.
Both runners go on the hit and run, and it's going to pay off. Hit into right field. Runner trips up going home. The throw is there. The tag is in time. Joe Ciervo slipped on his way around third base, and what would have been Western Kentucky's 4th run turns into Kennesaw State's 2nd out.
These types of plays can be momentum changers. I mean, that's too easy for Jackson Cirillo. He got the 2-hop into it. I mean, he's dang near in the infield by the time he throws it. That 1 stumble, and then the hesitation, too. I think the hesitation might not have mattered, but falling and not being able to get back up in time. With an arm like Jackson Cirillo from right field, that's a difference maker.
So we'll go down as a single. O'Connell moves from first on over to third. Drew Berrigan stands on the first base bag. But what a throw there from Jackson Cirillo. I mean, that throw was right on the money, right where it needed to be, up the third base line.
Yeah.
All he had to do, and Aaron Posey, was make that tag, and he did just that.
He was able to take his time, and oftentimes when you see that, I feel as though when guys think about it too much, that's when you airmail it. So it's usually the quick throws that are the ones that end up being on time, where your natural muscle memory takes over. But Cirillo got it, took 2 hops, looked around, and was fired. I mean, it was that easy for him, and with that frame coming from a 6'6" frame, I mean, that ball's going to get there in a hurry.
Like I said, the hesitation and the trip definitely helped out as Powell pounds the outside corner for strike number 1. Definitely helped there for Cirillo, but for Kennesaw State, you know, you'll take that. That can be seen as a momentum shifter in getting that second out when it should have been a fourth run.
Yeah.
They'll throw it to McDuffie, and it looks like they're going to try and do the same thing here and have the double steal get put on. The throw is going to be going back to third to Mims, who's going to get everybody back to where they need to be or back on the corners. Not often you see the double steal put on in college baseball, and Western Kentucky just trying to get that fourth run, and nearly a tag there from Hudson Mims. If he had gotten that between the legs, I think he would have had it.
Yeah, well, Javi Baez action in between the legs, but tough play there. You know what? I like the strategy from Western Kentucky, trying to cause enough chaos and confusion to throw the defense off and score a freebie. I mean, might as well when you kind of have this lead where you're in between. Once again, you want to separate a little bit more. And with 2 outs, if you're able to steal one, and then who knows, maybe you get a base hit, someone scores, and now next thing you know, it's 5-0. But now they put that on film, and I'm not sure if that's something they've done throughout the season. But there are going to be some teams that are going to be expecting that for sure.
Well, I think if the Owls weren't successful in getting Weidman out on that first one, it may have caused a little bit more confusion on that, and not having Vasquez go. They knew that Vasquez wanted to go home, as Reed Howard is deemed to have waved around, so now it brings the count to 1-2.
Your chances are a lot higher of pulling that off the first time in the game versus the second time. Owls were able to handle it both times, but there was a little more chaos on the first round.
Correction on the count, it's actually 3-2. And that one is going to get away, and the fourth run will score. So O'Connell makes his way from first to third on the single from Berrigan. And then on the wild pitch, they're going to have him in another rundown and a possible another double steal situation. We'll see, and the run's going to come home. The throw, the tag is going to be out. Chaos down in Marietta as Western Kentucky is trying to add on to their lead. Dylan O'Connell does just that, but the Owls trying to avoid becoming history here in Marietta. Bottom of the ninth, Kennesaw State trails Western Kentucky by a score of 4-0. And Jordan, the Owls trying to avoid something that they have not done in a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, shutout at home doesn't happen for Kennesaw State. They're one of just a few teams that have been able to stretch it to triple digits, and then 3 teams in front of them, and this would stunt that. All they need one is just to break that, but obviously need a lot more to get back into this one.
Never under Ryan Coe's leadership has Kennesaw State not put up a 0 on the board. So this would be a first not only for this team, but for Ryan Coe at home as well, even though he's not here this weekend. This Kennesaw State team trying to avoid having that happen. To do that, they're going to have their 8-9-1 hitters due up, and Aaron Posey, Shamar McDuffie, and Nate Anderson. They combined have 2 hits on the day for this Kennesaw State team. And it looks like we're going to have a pinch hitter into the game. It'll be Jackson Bradfield for the Owls to try and get things started off.
Yeah, I like this decision from Coach Passeur to try and inject a little bit of life here, get a guy that has had some success in swinging a hot stick lately.
Batting .286 on the year. This is 10th game he's playing in. And the first pitch he sees is an off-speed breaking ball that misses on the outside. 1 home run on the season, 8 hits and 28 at-bats. 6 strikeouts and 6 RBIs on the year for Bradfield, as he has a good eye and watches that miss upstairs.
And just in case you were scoring at home, to end the inning, Berrigan was out at home from a 2-4 to 3-6-2 put out.
Who's on first, what's on second? I don't know.
That's it. It's just classic. You see it all the time.
Yeah, it's the most common play in baseball these days.
Yeah.
Bradfield done a nice job to draw this count to 3-0 in his favor. See who's coming up on deck here for Kennesaw State. 3-0 pitch, strike at the knees. Still think if you're Bradfield, keeping the bat on the shoulder for this 3-2 pitch. force him to throw strikes. Evan Jones to the plate, and Bradfield will foul it off. Good thing he didn't take my advice.
Well, he liked the pitch that he saw, but I agree with your assessment there because, well, you need to compile here. You don't need a one solo shot, but like at the same time, if you see dead red, you're looking dead red, go ahead and swing the stick.
Runs the count full. 3-2 pitch here upcoming from the sophomore Evan Jones. Gets the swing and miss, and guess where? It's low and away, as many of the strikeouts for this WKU pitching staff have been this afternoon.
I think it was that slider that he's able just to move off the other side of the dish. It drops, and you don't have a chance at that one. He's got some really strong stuff from the hill. You reach, I teach. That's just what his motto has been this season. He's been stellar because of that.
McDuffie, a check swing bouncer over to the hot corner. Throw takes him off the bag, that Kyle Vidston, but still applies the tag. So on the first pitch, McDuffie grounds out, and now Kennesaw State 1 out away from being held scoreless at home for the first time since 2018 and the first time under Ryan Coe. Will be Nate Anderson to try and keep this ball game alive for Kennesaw State. With Evan Jones on the bump. Righty-lefty matchup. Anderson the lefty, Jones the righty. First pitch to Anderson is going to be pushed foul over on the first base side. Anderson 0 for 4 on the day with 3 flyouts and a ground out. 0-1 pitch misses high. Scheduled to be a good game here tomorrow. Gavin Perry going to be getting the start for Western Kentucky. Still have not had an announced starter yet for Kennesaw State. First pitch scheduled for 1:05. 1-1 pitch. And misses on the outside upstairs. Nothing
better than a good old TBD. You know, keep us on the edge of our seat.
Exactly. You show up to the booth and we'll figure it out when we get there.
That's just kind of been the season when it comes to injuries. You don't want to put the TBD on there, but if you have to, you have to.
2-1. Ends up plunking him, and that one's not going to feel good for Nate Anderson, but I think he's going to wear that one happily. Anderson this season on stolen bases, 5 for 6. So of the 19 stolen bases Kennesaw State has, him and the man who's coming up to the plate have combined for 15 of them. Chris Cole, 10 stolen bases. Anderson with 5. Donovan Cash with 1 of his own as well. Cooper Williams also a couple stolen bases this year for this Kennesaw State team.
Yeah, you know, it's tough to say whether that runner is going to be in motion or not, given you only have 1 out to work with and you need one heck of a run here. You don't want that third out to be a caught stealing. But at the same time, you also want some action for your team to try and get guys in scoring position, and they'll let you have it. Never mind. Forget what I'm saying.
You know, I think that goes down to what they call a defensive indifference.
Yeah.
So it won't be a stolen base there for Nate Anderson. Chris Cole with a runner in scoring position. Missing again upstairs was Evan Jones.
And you tend to see those later in the ball game. Because you want to see that laser focus from your pitchers, from your defense to focus on getting that last out. So, I mean, with 0 complaints, barely even a look over to Nate Anderson, he gets second base.
Going to have a quick visit here from the pitching coach and Coach Napoleon here for Western Kentucky. Dylan Napoleon, that is, the UAB grad in 2012 in his 3rd season with the program. All 3 on the members of this coaching staff, and Mark Reardon, Rob Fournier, Dylan Napoleon, and Tyler Herbst all came in together when this team, or rather when Mark Reardon was hired 3 years ago. And it looks like they are going to keep Evan Jones in the game to try and close this out. Probably just a little bit of a you got this talk.
Yeah, you fall behind the hitter 2-0, guy now in scoring position. Last thing you want to do is let anything spiral. Again, kind of break up the pace a little bit and see what you can do to get strike number 1 across.
Owls looking for their first 2-out hit today. And it will be 3-0 here to Chris Cole. Donovan Cash on deck. And it might be the matchup that Jones prefers here with the righty-righty instead of the righty-lefty. Same thing for Chris Cole here. Going to try and keep the bat on the shoulder, you would think, with a runner in scoring position and being ahead in the count now 3-1. And he does just that, able to draw the walk. So after 2 quick outs for Kennesaw State, the next 2 batters given free passes, with Nate Anderson being hit by a pitch. Chris Cole now with the walk, and 2 runners on base for Donovan Cash. 146 career RBIs for Kennesaw State. Now just 6 away from breaking the all-time record here for the Owls, and now 3 home runs away from breaking that all-time home run record as well. First pitch Cash sees is lasered right back up the middle. Anderson's gonna round third. He's gonna score. The Owls are gonna plate 1, avoid getting shut out, and the streak is gonna stay alive. Great piece of hitting there from Donovan Cash to ambush Evan Jones on the first pitch he sees, pushes one right back where it came from, and gives the Owls still some life with the tying run coming up to the plate.
Yeah, I know technically you had the free base, and so losing Cole didn't feel all that detrimental, but Donovan Cash just has this knack late in games to extend ball games, and he stingles up the middle and prevents the streak from being ruined, which is nice. But for Kennesaw State, they need to put a few more together to try and tie or take the lead.
Cam Sudo now batting with 2 outs. Another righty-righty matchup. He's 0 for 3 today. Is Cam Sudo with a walk that came all the way back at what feels like an eternity ago in the first inning of this one. Ahead in the count 1-0, now 2-0, as it seems like Jones is kind of struggling with control a little bit here in the ninth.
Yeah, and Kennesaw State, they smell blood in the water. This is the last opportunity. Well, we'll see if Western Kentucky thinks about going to the pen here, but his command has certainly waned.
2-0 pitch, catches the inside. Kennesaw State in the 5th inning had the bases loaded with 2 outs, couldn't do anything with it. 6th inning had 2 runners on first and second, couldn't do anything with it. 7th inning went 1-2-3, and the 8th had 2 runners on first and second, couldn't do anything with it. And now again, with runners on base, a chance to tie this game up with 1 swing of the bat. They've already gotten 1 run across, their first 2-out hit of the day. Sudo and a 2-2 count. Pitch from Jones. Rolls over towards third, a race to the third base bag. The Hilltoppers and Carlos Vasquez will step on it, and that will end the ball game. Western Kentucky forces the rubber match, which will be tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And they take their first Conference USA win of the season, 4-1 over Kennesaw State.
Incredible response from Western Kentucky. You'd like to see that after a game where you let it slip away earlier in the night, and that's what happened yesterday. They put up a lot of runs, wasn't able to secure the W, but then they flip around and put together what was a phenomenal performance from the pitching staff. It was just enough from the lineup, not used to what we're seeing from them, but hey, when you score about 10 runs per game, a 4-run spot isn't the worst thing in the world every once in a while.
Yeah, you will definitely take that, and now it sets up a really fun matchup for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Kennesaw State, the winner, and 9-8 on Friday. Western Kentucky now 4-1 here on Saturday. And it's going to be interesting to see how these teams are going to fare in this rubber match.
Yeah, it's a big deal because I think these 2 teams are very evenly matched. I think you're both going to see them in the upper echelon or close to that in Conference USA when it's all said and done. So these early games could be tiebreaker scenarios. These conference games are so important in a deep, deep Conference USA league this year. You can't emphasize that too much. So tomorrow, it's going to be a fun game.
These 2 teams are now the 5th and 6th team to post a 1-1 record in Conference USA play. That'll do it here for us on tonight's broadcast. Jordan, it's been a pleasure to share the booth with you once again. The Hilltoppers able to claim the victory 4-1 over Kennesaw State. For my partner Jordan Griffith, our producer Sanders Sullivan, our director Sarah Trapnell, I'm Bryce Gobert saying so long from Kennesaw, as Western Kentucky claims game number 2, 4-1.